We want to thank our kind sponsor down in Des Moines, Brad Van Meter, and his State Farm team, giving you opportunities at better rates and great coverage. Thanks to a company that's been in business for over 100 years, the largest auto insurance company in the U.S. Again, be a part of a great foundation and a great small team down in Des Moines. It's Brad Van Meter and his State Farm office at 4229 Fleur Drive. Visit him online, bradvanmeter.com, or call him 515-256-6480. We also want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, RTI Threads. RTI Threads has been with us throughout the post-game season for men's college hoops for our Iowa coverage. And, of course, Owen Freeman, Peyton Sandford, Josh Dix, some of the athletes being sported over there at rtithreads.com/NIL. You can check it all out. Again, rtithreads.com. And stay tuned for our RTI Threads player of the game this evening. As it relates to this evening, your Iowa men getting back on track in nail-biting fashion. Final count of 76-75. A win's a win. A win is a win. And boy, they needed this. I mean, look, you could look at this a few different ways, and certainly that last possession for Penn State, last two possessions for Penn State, you could honestly convince me quite easily that Iowa was an opponent's single shot away from maybe their NCAA tournament hopes going from, I think they're probably somewhere around like 35% right now. Going from that to like 15. I mean, seriously, that's kind of how I interpreted those last two possessions. And boy, a great look for a couple of players. And then that last possession, just not well executed. Got to get a shot off, and you got to realize time. You don't have the 2.4 seconds is not enough time to dribble to get all the way up to the 3-point arc and get a shot off. And he did not, and Iowa takes the win in spite of blowing a lead and going 1 for 7 from the foul line in the second half. All storylines to talk about, folks. We'll be joined by my good friend Kyle Spence here in a few minutes. Also, Tom Kakert of HawkeyeReport.com expected in here quite early. We're going to do things a little differently tonight. We're going to go to the callers right away, and then we'll kind of go into the game more. And again, we'll get Kyle's take and Tom Kakert's following post-game availability with Coach McCaffery. We'll first go to Doug, who has been waiting here patiently on hold. Doug, I saw you nodding. A win is a win. It was not pretty, but I know that you're going to get many more pretty wins for this team. We saw one against Indiana. That's been about it. But the good news is they're one game back of 500.
They escaped disaster. Like that. We're pretty much where we are. People, I don't know what I want to say, but Fran's probably still on the hot seat. This game did very little to prove anything. And the next three are very big. And again, it seems like they're just always like one step behind. There was a lot. Hey, they won that game. I thought they were going to give it away at the end. It just felt that way. And
they gave up a wide open three.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nobody's around, but you got guys running away from what's his face, the lefty for Penn State, whose name escapes me. Can you remind me what his name is, Doug?
Nah.
I'm awaiting the official box score from the university here any second. But yeah, and also let me just say this: I don't want to hone in on officiating too much. I know there's going to be some people that bring up the missed call, like the high knee thing, the high knee guy, the official that everybody makes fun of for the high knee up on the court. He apparently tweeted out something along the lines of, or excuse me, not tweet out. He said something to Fran along the lines of, "Hey, I messed up on the block shot by Owen Freeman," which, by the way, I don't think he was all that bad of a call. He got wrist.
Are you talking about the one with Peyton or Owen?
I'm talking about was it Peyton or was it Owen?
Peyton had a foul there late in the game where he looked like he had a block, and it looked pretty clear to me. But I could be messing up.
I think it was the one with Owen because it was wrist, right? He got him on the wrist and called a foul, and I believe that's the one where what's his face, the official, basically apologized to Fran. But let me just say this for a second, and this may not make Hawkeye fans feel very warm and fuzzy. That call that Brock Harding got in his favor that was reviewed, Doug, that's one of the most horrendous misses from an officiating crew I've seen all year. I don't watch as much college basketball as I used to because I'm busy with this and everything else. I have not seen a more egregious missed call. That was a horrible call. And if I'm a Penn State fan, I'm livid about that. Now, the free throw was missed on the front end, so you could say it didn't matter, but it did cost Penn State a timeout. And it cost – look, hook and hold. That would have been free throws for Penn State. It was a horrible missed call. And if I was a Penn State fan, I'd be upset because that was the difference in the game if you look at just the score.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Argue with me.
No, because I feel how you feel, but there's 80 possessions in a basketball game. One possession doesn't win or lose a basketball game. And I'm not trying,
I'm just saying that was – look, there are missed calls.
We missed the 1-on-1 anyway.
Go to replay. I know, but it doesn't – but again, they would have gotten free throws. Penn State would have gotten free throws. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. So,
I didn't think it was as egregious as you. He reached in. He was hounding Brock the whole game. I mean, yes, he held him after he was reached in, though. He fouled him before the hold.
He did not foul him.
He hit him before the hold. Maybe I'm a homer. I'm just a homer.
He did not hit him. I'm telling you. I'm going to pull up the replay. We're going to watch this. Because he's not. I'll pull it up.
He fouled him before he held him. But
All right,
again, I'm a homer. You're probably right. I see it from a Penn State. I'm not seeing anything from a Penn State point of view anyway. But
chat. Appreciate Chris being here. He says if there are 5 seconds left before halftime, isn't it a good idea to shoot before the buzzer versus holding on the ball? Yeah, that was a bad mistake by Brock Harding. I don't know. They didn't show Fran McCaffery. I imagine he was not happy with Brock driving down like he does a lot and then holding the ball and not getting a shot off.
A lot of your live chat, and again, I turn it off when I get on the StreamYard, seem to be very critical of Brock. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't think Brock played great, but he has his disadvantages. But I didn't think if we were going to lose this game, it comes from that one statistic that people have been 1 for 7. I can't. Somebody wrote at 328. We should have put this team away. And instead, we let them stay around. And Fran's done that many times. And, it's great that we survived, but that's how this game felt. It changes nothing for Monday, how I feel. Eventually, you have to if we want to go to the NCAA, which a lot of you think is delusional even to say, they have to win a road game. And Monday is a winnable road game according to the record. I mean, I think they're 3-5 right now in the Big Ten. Ohio State is.
Ohio State 3-5. Okay.
Yeah. They're 3-5 in the Big Ten right now. There are a lot of teams there right now. Iowa, if they stop to play right now, would be the 11th seed in the Big Ten tournament, which means they would play the 15th seed. And the 15th seed
stops play right now, though. We can let's make something abundantly clear. They'd be out of the NCAA field without a really big run in the conference tournament.
Yes, they have 11 games left, and we both believe 11-9 is the only for sure thing. I mean, and that's not even for sure. Somebody said yeah to me. Okay.
I'm looking to see. I'm just seeing if there's anybody that tweeted the hook and hold from Brock Harding, and I'm not seeing it. So if anybody has a replay of the Ace Baldwin, Brock Harding hook and hold, please send it to me because I'm not seeing anything on social media. Maybe our guy Kyle, who's in our queue, can find something while we're chatting here. But I don't see anything. I just thought it was a horrible call. Also, we hear from Gary Close all the time on the show, and Gary had to cancel last minute, had something come up.
It's late at night.
Be with us this coming Monday. But one of the things that we have heard him say in the past is we've asked about hand checking. And one of the things we always see is an arm go forward, an arm go back, arm go forward, arm go back, hand go forward, hand go back. You get away with that. You never see, guys are not going to defend like this the whole time. So when you slow it down, it looks like Ace Baldwin's got his hand on Brock Harding. I'm just saying he reached in momentarily. And as soon as he reached in, Brock Harding did this.
I agree with you. I
mean, that's
he fouled him before he grabbed him.
Flagrant. It's a flagrant foul. It's not just a foul; it's a flagrant foul. People aren't going to like me saying.
Can I enjoy the victory? We haven't won in 3 games. Yeah, probably wrong call.
Absolutely, I'm happy. I'm happy that the game went in Iowa's favor. I was disappointed in the officials in that moment because I wanted them to get that right, and I hate seeing late. Love to have seen Iowa win in spite of that, but I just thought they missed the call. That's all. I just thought it was an egregious miss.
I think Big Ten officiating has definitely went downhill. I'm not trying to go to the old school guys like Eddie Hightower and those guys, but we miss those guys. Those guys were pretty awesome. I'm sure. I mean, it seems like Fran has a problem with half the officials, but Fran. But, again, I thought we've been talking about demeanor. I thought Fran's demeanor was a lot better in this game. There was a couple times where I really thought he was actually coaching up the guys. Also, Lodgy needs not to play.
Hey, how about that double dribble tonight? How about that double? I mean, I don't know what was going on there. I mean, he literally – that wasn't like a –
That's a third grader.
Dribbled a few times, stopped.
He forgot.
And then dribbled again.
Yeah. He didn't play after that. I was like, what?
I haven't seen anything like that.
Well, we talked about Seydou needs more minutes, but Seydou also for every 2 great plays he makes a dumb play. And I just I want Seydou to stay on the floor.
Seydou is playing better now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think Seydou's stock is going like this, whereas Lodgy's is going like this.
Yeah.
I said the other night it was yesterday after Iowa got the commitment from Joshua Lewis. people are worried about scholarships. Is Lodgy going to be back next year? They got a lot of 3s and 4s coming in, Doug.
Right. The kid from Indiana, the kid from Connecticut, both Josh and IJA. I don't know where Lodgy ain't playing next year. I'm just being honest.
Well, the only way Lodgy, let me tell you something. The only way Lodgy plays next year is if they don't have a backup 5.
You don't think the Connecticut guy can play backup 5?
Who?
The guy from
Briscoe?
Yeah. No, the other one. The one from Connecticut. Bandar? But I'm bad with names. People always think I know everything. I'm horrible with names.
Well, they're all interesting names. He's 6'10". Maybe.
He's 6'10" long. He's only 190, 195.
Maybe, but I'm just saying, true freshman, you're going to throw him into the mix. And then
10 minutes. Owens will play a lot. Hopefully everyone – this is to both Owen and Josh's family. No matter what happens, please stay at Iowa. We'll come up with NIL money. Stay at Iowa because, Owen will be real – Owen is getting better. He had a great game, and I don't want – no matter what happens, the first thing either a new coach or Fran needs to do is make sure to retain those guys because Owen and Josh are players now. They're just pieces. The problem we've been talking about is there's no rebounding in defense, and I think the 4 guys we named can help there. But
I agree.
I want to bring up one guy, and then how do we feel about Riley right now? I think he's for his 8 or 9 minutes, and I wanted you to bring up the box score, but he's at least giving us something. A lot of you didn't think he'd give us anything, and at least he comes in with energy and some heart. He is limited by his athleticism. He does look like he's just so tall. He just looks like he's on triple over his own 2 feet sometimes. But
I don't think he's the most coordinated big that Iowa's ever played. But at the same time, like you said about the 6'10" big whose name escapes me next year, they need somebody that can spell them 10 minutes a game. And early on that was Evan Bronze. So Evan Bronze ain't playing now.
Yeah.
And whether that is purely progression or whether that's medical injury related, I'm not aware of an injury to Evan Bronze, but his minutes have completely disappeared. And Riley's have all of a sudden, now that Riley's healthy, knock on wood, because he struggled to stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's actually playing and giving them decent minutes. And there are going to be games where they need his size. Usually, you play Purdue, you need the size. You play Michigan State. There's going to be times where you need some length, and they don't really have anything after Owen if it's not Riley.
Yeah, we need to laugh at that. I could play 13, a comment from November, because we're down to 7, really, with Riley being the 8th.
Doug, that's why I keep saying, and I know the job of the media is to evaluate what they see right now, but I'm also projecting forward. And the reality is, okay, they have 14 guys technically on scholarship for next year now, I believe. Is that the number? I have that right?
It depends if what you count for Riley and Carter.
Exactly. So my question is, great. I'm glad Carter has gotten a scholarship and he's earned it. I'm glad Evan Bronze has gotten a scholarship and earned it.
Bronze is gone no matter what. So
okay, so yeah, he's a senior. He's a senior. But my point is, you've handed some guys scholarships, which is phenomenal, but did we lock them in for the rest of their careers on scholarship? I don't know that that's how it works anymore. And I don't know if
year to year.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And Carter Kingsbury came here as a walk-on. Evan Bronze was supposed to be a walk-on. Hey, Riley Mulvey's been here 4 years. If he's not progressed, we've seen Fran let other guys go. Dale Jones left after 4 years, had another year eligibility. Who were the other guys? Did Austin
Ash, Riley Till, Stokes kid.
So I can't imagine they retain Riley unless they have no other options at the 5.
We got 4 guys coming in.
Say it again.
The 4 guys coming in. I don't even think they'll retain Lodgy. I don't. No matter. Again, we don't know. I imagine right now, coaching change. Whatever. They have a pretty good recruiting class. They have pieces there. There's more pieces that need to be added in, and they definitely need to go get a combo guard and a point guard because, Brock has deficiencies. Brock's not horrible, even though some of you in the live chat are making him seem like he's horrible. He's just a small guy. That's his deficiency. That's if Brock was 6'4", we would be talking about him very differently. But he just 5'11", so you go play against guys that are 6'6" with 48-inch vertical leaps. But my next point is, and I'll get off. And I wish Coach was here because my question is, they have 8 days off after, and I'm talking loud. And I apologize. I talk loud. Can't control the volume of my voice. Anyway, they have 8 days off after this. And I wish Coach would kind of tell us what do you do with those 8 days? How do we go into the Purdue game? And like I said, that Purdue home game, and we're going to the Wisconsin game. And I'm like, it can't be as horrible as that Minnesota game. That Minnesota game we started horrible. We couldn't even score at the beginning. I just do not want it, after an 8-day break, for them to come back to home and come out flat. The team cannot come out flat again. I don't know if that's Peyton's job as the leader of the team. I don't know if that's Fran's job. I don't know whose job it is, but we cannot come out flat in these home games. And we really need to play Ohio State tough. And we need a road. Again, it is what it is. They're 4-5, and my comment's up there. Anyway, that's what my comment was.
I think it's we're going to say this the rest of the way, Doug, because it's the nature of February and March. But this next game's really big because I also believe it's kind of like going into a half with momentum or without it. They're going into a break, not a halftime break, but literally a break where they don't play much, like you alluded to. And, hey, there's a big difference. You go in there having lost, what would that be, 4 of their last 5 heading into the break versus, hey, we've won 2 in a row and we've knocked off a team on the road, gotten one back. Because if they knock one off on the road at Ohio State and you climb back to 500, you're back even. I mean, you're basically back even. And, hey, you still got to probably steal one because you're probably not going to beat Purdue and Wisconsin at home. But at least you got a shot and you can do it on the road. And Columbus has been a place where Iowa's played decently under Fran.
It's a quick turnaround. You got me having a little bit of hope, where I'm not talking about firing Fran right now. I have a little bit of hope. Don't lay an egg at Ohio State. That is a crappy arena. It really is. It's a bad NBA arena. It's too big for what they need. We've talked about it with the Bryce Jordan Center and other arenas. We can go into Ohio State on a Monday night and hopefully catch them off guard. And then we're again, the one thing I will say to fans, both from the Hockey of the Storm podcast and then the Iowa fans overall, I don't like it if you're cheering so Iowa loses so they will make a coaching change. I want to win every game, and there's some of you that are just purposely wanting to be against them so they have to make a coaching change. I want it to be a judgment call if they do have to make it. Win as many games as you can. And I don't think no matter what Fran does, he's never going to get a coaching extension past 28 anyway.
I'll tell you what, Doug, I'm not in the mode of the closest I've ever been. I'll be full disclosure. The closest I've ever been to, and I have never done this, but the closest I've ever been to actively rooting against a team, and this is going to upset our caller, Cory, who's waiting in the queue. The closest I've ever been would have been 2022 with Brian Ferentz.
And I was
so sick of the charade and the nepotism and all that. And I know there's nepotism everywhere in sports.
It's understandable.
Of that. I'm just like, what do we need to do to get him out? I'm not that point with Fran. Do I think Fran is the answer for Iowa to make a Sweet 16? Maybe he makes a Sweet 16. Do I think he's going to take him to the promised land? No, because they like you said, they don't defend or rebound well enough. Yep. But I do think, I said this yesterday, I know you watched the program and I appreciate you supporting the show. But you and I both know, and Tony's talked about it, these next 2 classes, specifically 25, they got a lot of athletes, and it's unlike any class that I can remember. So I am curious. Now, if they don't make the tournament this year, I stand by what I said, move along, and if it means you lose a couple of these guys, so be it. That's the nature of moving on from a coach. You can't just say, well, we like this class, so we're going to keep them and see what happens, and then the next class we don't like, we're going to fire them. That's not how that works. Guys are going to be able to, if you add somebody out of a MAC school or wherever, a head coach, they're going to bring some people out of the portal.
Yep.
So that's the nature of how you rebuild a program. So I still say it comes down to whether they make the tournament. If they do and they don't have success in the tournament, then I'm going to I have to wait to see how it looks and trust in Beth Getz. But the class that they have coming in does intrigue me.
One last thing, because some people were asking about this recruit, Shabazz, the guy that's was at Assumption, plays for Dean Oliver at, and again, I'm going to mess up this name, Iowa Prep Academy or Iowa Basketball Prep Academy. And so he's getting coached by a former Hawkeye, the kid from the 26th class, because somebody said he transferred from Assumption. And I'm not quite sure. And I wanted to ask Coach Close about what exactly Dean is doing and what the prep school because it's a new thing with the Iowa, whatever Dean Oliver is doing. So I just thought it was really cool.
Can I just respond to Bob? This is absolutely false. The rule is the rule. There is a hook and hold rule for a reason. You cannot look at that replay with a straight face and say Harding had the right to squeeze his arm down. He knew exactly what he was doing, Doug. You know he knew exactly what he was doing.
I'm saying the foul happened before. The foul happened with the reach in.
You want to argue? I disagree with that, but if you want to argue that, that's fine. And that's what the officials ruled, by the way.
Yeah.
They didn't deny that it was a hook and hold. They said that there was a foul and then whatever else happened after the whistle. I don't agree with that either, but that absolutely is not the case. And by the way, Copper Stacker, I knew I was going to get some revolt on this. Calls were going in Penn State's favor all game. Again, I disagree. There were some bad calls each way. I think we've got this homerism mindset right now with officiating. And I don't know about the goaltend. Copper Stacker says that was egregious. I tend to agree it was the wrong call. But here's the thing. The ball
we won.
Ball had not totally left his hands yet, Doug. That's the other part. Now, was it above the cylinder? Yeah, probably. So that's where the goaltend comes in. But that's a hard one. That's a hard one because you don't see that happen a lot, where a guy gets blocked with the ball still in his hand over the cylinder. The officials are there to make the right call and know the rules. But I'm just saying I'm a little more understanding to that. The other one, they went to replay and still got it wrong. Had they reviewed the goaltending call, I would have expected them calling it goaltending because they didn't call it goaltending. They couldn't review it.
Yeah. I, again, appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. I appreciate the live chat people that took the time to listen to me. And we'll see what happens on Monday. And 2 big home games. Again, I going to the Wisconsin game, and I just hope. Well, they have the 4 remaining home. Well, 4 out of the 5 remaining home games are against the top 4 teams in the Big Ten, Michigan State, Oregon at home, Purdue at home, and Wisconsin at home. You got chances to get quad 1 wins at home. So, there's 4 right there because all 4 of those teams are in the top 25. All 4 of them are quad 1 wins, and you get them at your place. So there's an opportunity there to hopefully maybe make something of the season. Again, Fran hasn't proved anything more. He hasn't proved anything less. We'll see what happens on Monday. Thank you, people. Thank you all.
Good, sir. To JW in the chat, who cares, Cory? Let it go. You're wrong. I can talk about whatever I please. Kyle? Look, I love when it's come up because at the end of the game, I said to you, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to sound off on it, and people aren't going to like it. But I call it like I see it. And by the way, you agreed with me, right? You were telling me this.
Absolutely. There was absolute. I mean, whether or not it was an obvious foul on Brock, I don't know. It was absolutely not a foul on Penn State. Absolutely not. And I tend to, if I would have seen that replay before any call was made, I think I would have called a hook and hold. It was close though.
Yeah, the argument was that there was a hand check first, and that was where the call came in. But that's not. The call was made. Yeah. Here's the problem: the call was made when Brock had his arm clamped, and then he flailed trying to draw the ball. If anything, that's a hook and a hold and a flop.
Yes.
But Iowa fans are going to like to hear that, but it's the truth. And I'm not a Penn State fan. Believe me, I'm going to start being called a Penn State fan. I've already been called an Iowa basketball hater, I guess. But anyways, so
you're all over the place, I guess.
Yeah. What's up with you? What you got? Anything special? Any special observation? Look at this. Dennis says I'm a Penn State
fan. I know. I marked that one because I knew you'd enjoy it.
Thank you.
I mean, honestly, again, like to me, it's just the same thing over and over again with this team. They got away with it tonight, just about. By the way, I don't know if anybody said this, but they're this game, which absolutely could have gone the other way if that call was reversed. If that was a hook and hold, they're going to the free throw line with 2 free throws to take the lead.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem with the argument is, I know there's a lot of, there might have been some missed calls, but they did miss the front end. But like you say, my understanding of the rule is it was been a flagrant correct? A hook and hold.
Yes, it would have been free throws and the ball.
And the ball. That's what people need to realize.
Yeah.
It would have been
They would have had, if they made both free throws, it would have been a 1-point Penn State lead.
Not a 1-1. It would have been 2 free throws and the ball.
And the ball. Yes.
I think
yes.
a facet of
I
this
that swings it drastically in Penn State's direction.
Now this is going to be controversial as well, but don't you think there's a facet of this where the officials didn't want to make that call? I mean, I don't think in that moment, I don't think they wanted to make that call. That's because it would have been such a massive swing. I could be wrong. Fran is on him all night. Fran, you talk about Fran's emotions going by the wayside. His emotions were out.
They were back tonight.
They were back tonight. So maybe that's going to make some fans happy.
Yeah, but they're this game and then one Josh Dix shot away from being having 2 Big Ten wins. So,
but as Gary Close said, Kyle, you can't play that game because a win's a win. And the reality is they are 4-5 right now.
They're a lot closer to 2-7 than they are to 6-4 or 6-3.
It is wild. I'd be curious to know at 4-5, they're literally technically a half game from being, they're one of those games goes the other direction. They're over 500. Technically a half game under. But my question is, I wonder what the plus minus on point differential in Big Ten play is, given the fact Iowa did have the 25-point win over Indiana, but you have a massive blowout against
31 points against Wisconsin, 5
UCLA.
against Minnesota, 24 against UCLA, and
you lost by double digits to USC as well. So
they're not good, but. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I look at this box score. I watched the game I just watched, and it's like, man. I mean, Iowa shoots 11 of 23 from 3. Penn State shoots 5 of 22, and that's the game right there. Like, if either of those two averages are closer to the norm, or those two numbers are closer to the norm, they lose. Right? They make shots, they stay in games, and they possibly win. They miss shots, their defense is not good enough to win. That's just it. So, like, it's very uninteresting to me from the standpoint of it's just in terms of this particular game, because it's the same old thing. I mean, it's the exact same thing that we've watched game after game after game. It's just when they went on the West Coast road trip, they didn't make anything and their defense was even worse. But they're at home. The defense wasn't, I don't know what you thought. I didn't think the defense was impressive at all. That 5 of 22 number is not indicative of the shots that Penn State got to get to 22 3-point attempts. I mean, there were 15 of those that were, wide open.
I guarantee you, if you go back and watch the tape from tonight, nobody's going to look at that and say, wow, what improvement from Iowa's on the defensive end. No. In fact, through much of the game, Penn State was shooting really well. So maybe Iowa locked down a little late, but for much of the game, Penn State over 50% from the field. They shot 49% for the game. Like you say, not very good from 3. So maybe Iowa's 3-point defense was a little bit better. They gave up, that was here's the thing, that second to last possession for Penn State, that was a complete defensive breakdown, and Penn State just couldn't make it. I mean, it was a Baldwin that shot that 3. I mean, he was just wide open. They ran away from him on that play. Yeah. And
he had time to compose himself too. He could have taken a rhythm dribble and stepped into it. I didn't like the shot that he took.
And then
dribbled? The guy, I don't think he did. Did he?
You don't think he had?
Did he not? He dribbled, but he didn't dribble back towards the basket. He dribbled out to get around the Iowa defender, and then he spun and he realized he was wide open. And he jacked it up, right?
He had already picked up his dribble, is my point. I don't think he could have.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he had an option of. I think he had to pass or shoot.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
all right, folks.
He was wide open. Yeah.
Folks, the Hawkeyes defeating Penn State on this Friday evening, 76-75. Behind a solid performance. I thought Drew Thelwell was phenomenal, and it was either going to be he or Owen Freeman tonight. Both were really good, and I thought Drew hit some timely threes. He was 3 of 5 from threes. Turned into one of their better 3-point shooters. I never expected to say that, but he's got some confidence from behind the arc. Also added 5 boards and 4 assists, the Morehead State transfer. And folks, as I mentioned earlier, you can shop the best of the best for Iowa men's basketball. Owen Freeman, Peyton Sanford, Josh Dix, all part of the RTI Threads family. You can shop their merch lines, rtithreads.com/NIL. Again, that's rtithreads.com/NIL. Why does your camera keep flashing on and off, Kyle? Do you know? Okay, Kyle's frozen. All right. Well, moving along. Let's go
Does
back
it?
to let's go
I don't know.
back
My
to
Wi-Fi hasn't been great, so your audio's kind of cutting in and out.
okay. Well, let's go back to Tom. We'll see if Kyle can get that figured out here. Tom, live from Carver-Hawkeye Arena. Tom, good to see you, sir.
How are you guys?
We're doing
Well, at
okay.
least you. Kyle doesn't seem to be
Kyle's
doing
gone.
well.
Yeah, I think your presence just booted him off, so that's okay. We'll get Kyle back. Tom, fresh off Fran McCaffery's press conference, and once again, you have a late night. I don't know why Iowa drew all these late tip times this year. It's
Hey,
hard
at
on.
least they won. At least they won a Friday night game.
They did win a Friday night game. How happy was the headman after the game?
I think pretty happy. I think everybody was pretty happy. But boy, they made it. They had to work for it. I mean, it's like, you know, ending a losing streak is never easy, and you make it. You know, they made it as hard as possible, not scoring the last 3:28 of the game. And you know, it just seemed. I think Fran said it best after the game. He's like, you know, there was a chance when you got it to 10, you thought maybe you could move it to 15, and if you get it to go in that direction, it's ball game, and you can just kind of cruise to the finish line. Instead, it went the other way, and they were 1 of 7 from the foul line in the second half, and it just made it much more difficult than it needed to be to win this game. And thankfully, they held on, because if they had lost this one, ooh, I don't know what the Iowa fans would have been doing, but they're happy tonight at least. For one night.
I know you're an odds guy. You like to throw out numbers. I threw out some numbers earlier, Tom, that had Iowa lost this game, I think their chances of making the NCAA tournament would have gone down to like 15%, and that might be generous.
Yeah.
The fact that they won it, I think they're probably hovering still around 30 to 35%.
They may have, if they had lost this one, they might not have even made the Big Ten tournament. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
that's going to be a challenge to get there with the schedule they've got ahead of them. Starting Monday night against Ohio State.
I was going to say, there's a big opportunity on Monday night as well, though, because you're going into a break after that. And you only have many road opportunities. They get 2 more home games after the Ohio State game. So,
Yes.
Tom, I'm curious to ask you your thoughts. And I don't know if he probably didn't get brought up after a win, but it just seems like Lodge's right back to struggling. And he got yanked tonight. And I don't think we ever saw him again after the double dribble. Just your thoughts on what's going on with him.
Yeah, he has. I thought early in the year when he was starting, it was a struggle for him. He just never felt comfortable there. And they brought him off the bench, and he seemed to get comfortable. And now he's back to maybe it was just the rotation was different because he had to come in so quickly for Owen. When Owen got, it looked like he might have gotten bloodied up. I couldn't really tell. But he took an elbow or something, or forearm or something to the face. And then Lajee went in there, and boy, he just couldn't get it going. But I'll say this: Riley Mulvey has given them some good minutes. So pleased to see Riley doing what he does out there. You know, it's not going to be aesthetically pleasing all the time, but he makes plays, and he's active, and he's a good screener. And there's something to be said for that with this offense. So. Lajee's just lost confidence, it looks like, to me.
And boy, they need depth at the 5, Tom, especially with Lodge struggling. Evan Braun's disappeared. I don't know if that's injury related or just he's been beaten out by Riley.
Your weekend. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Michael Lass was saying bye to me.
Yeah,
he is. He's making faces and waving. Michael Lass, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Evan Braun's is kind of gone, but his playing time has dwindled as well. And you know, I think people moving forward are concerned with recruiting at the 5 and recruiting at the 1. Is that fair?
They've got DKTA coming in, and he can play the 5, but boy, he's got to put on some weight. And I think, you know, Briscoe's big enough that maybe he could help out in the post play a little bit as well. But somebody's asking about the crowd. It was about like the other night, kind of similar size. So it's just, you know, I think we're stuck in that 8,000 range at best for crowds for Carver-Hawkeye Arena and Iowa basketball games for the time being. Maybe some of the games down the stretch this year will drive a little more of fan interest, but yeah, it's a struggle.
Tom, I'm curious to ask you about Brock. There's been some mixed reviews in the chat tonight. I
Yep.
thought it was, I don't know how much of a review or a view you got of the hook and hold that was not called on Brock Harding after the review. He's been a little up and down. I think it seems like his good buddy Owen Freeman is coming on at the right time, which is massive for Iowa. Just your thoughts on the two Moline kids.
Yeah, I thought Owen was really good tonight. I thought he figured out fairly early that he could post up on those guys and really have his way with most of those guys, especially in the first half. They had their backup 5-man in there, and Owen just went to work on him. And every time down, he was just either getting to the line or getting a bucket, or sometimes a little of both. Brock struggled at times tonight, I thought, and had some turnovers. Just didn't move the ball as much as he probably needed to. Missed a free throw. I thought it wasn't. He's had kind of 2 games in a row where he wasn't great, but he was really good down the stretch of the game the other night, where he was finding Owen and making some plays, but. Tonight down the stretch, Mr. Free Throw, Mr. Front End, it's the main ball handler. You can't do that. You gotta finish those plays, and Brock will be the first one to tell you that. So, not saying anything that Brock wouldn't tell you right now. So, and somebody said Josh Dix struggled. I was like, oh, come on. He had 8 assists, 11 points. I'm like, he's getting the star treatment by other teams in terms of defensive assignments and coming at him pretty hard. And so he was finding his teammates and getting them buckets, and that's okay.
Yeah, he was 1 of 5 from 3, but like you said, played 37 and a half minutes. I mean, he's being called upon and playing star minutes as well.
Yep. Someone's asking about foul shooting. No one was out here that I saw shooting free throws afterwards. It's Friday night. They're going to go out and have some fun. Come on. What, are you kidding me? What did you guys do on Friday nights in college? Go have some pops.
Yeah, go have some sodies. All right. Well, Tom, you go have a soda yourself, or whatever it is that blesses the Kakert residents on Friday nights. Safe travels back to Quad Cities, and we'll talk to you after a big game. Are you going out to Columbus?
I am not.
Good.
I am not.
We'll talk to you soon, nonetheless, and enjoy the weekend without basketball.
Sounds good. Thanks, Cory. Take care.
All right, we're going to add Kyle back in here. Kyle, somebody pointed out in the chat, Todd, bringing up my shirt. I got the RTI Threads shirt on, and he says he's got the same shirt on right now. So
very good. I need to go get some of that Cooper. I wonder how long they're going to keep the CD3 stuff up on the website. You think they'll keep them up for a while longer?
I'm not aware that they're going to take it down. I've not heard that, but Eric says you're a downer, so I don't know what that means.
I am not a downer. I'm a realist, and anybody that wants to talk about this can come call in right now, because I'm not I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but this team is not in a good place. You know how many? By the way, I looked through the rest of their games for the rest of the season. Do you know how many times they're favored for the rest of the season? They have 11 games left. You know how many times they're favored of the 11?
2.
1. Washington at home. All the rest of the games besides Washington at home, they are underdogs.
Wow.
And ESPN has them going 4-7 the rest of the way.
Ooh.
And finishing 8-12 in the conference.
They're not going to make the tournament. They go, you ain't making the tournament 8-12.
They're going to have to overperform in an 11 game span by 3 games to even have a shot, right? Because 10-10, they're probably not in, unless they make a run. They'd have to win at least 2 tournament games.
I think 11-9 is a magic number to feel pretty good, regardless of conference tournament. That's my feeling on it.
I think so too. I think if you're 11-9, 12-8, you're good. But I don't know. I mean, the home games, Doug pointed out. I mean, the rest of their home games, they need to make up games on the road, but They host Purdue, Wisconsin, Oregon, Washington, and Michigan State. Those are their, 4 of their 5 home games down the stretch here are against ranked teams, and they go to Illinois. So, like, I don't know. That's it's gonna be tough. I'm not saying they can't do it, but they have dug themselves a big hole. That West Coast trip was very, very damaging, and so was that Minnesota game as well. Those were probably Minnesota more than any other game.
Yeah, I'm just looking through stats here. The stats don't scream bad defense tonight, but Gary's talked about this before. I mean, you're going to have to comb through film to really be able to say with a certainty that Iowa improved defensively, and I don't know. I didn't get that feeling tonight. Penn State's a really good offense. Let me give them credit. They got guys who can score, and they didn't even shoot the ball that well from 3, and they scored 75. And Iowa shoots 50% from the floor on the day where they were phenomenal from 3. 48% made 11 of them. Struggled to foul line 1 of 7 in the second half, and did get beat. Iowa was minus 12 in the paint, which you don't see a lot. But rebounding and defense, we're going to be preaching that through the rest of the season, folks. Kyle's going to take it from here. I have to go. I'm not going to go to bed, I promise. So Kyle, you take our last couple of callers. You got a couple of good ones in the queue. I mean, you got a couple of all-stars down here.
I could be here for another hour.
You could
between those 2 callers.
You could be here with 3 hours on just one of the callers. Right. Be kind to Kyle. Kyle, appreciate your time, sir.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night, Cory. All right. Well, now that it's my show, we can continue the pessimism, right? We'll have a couple more things to plug here. We're going to plug our RTI Threads player of the game here, so I don't forget. Drew Thelwell was the player of the game, and very deservedly so. I think he's this team's best player. I think it's interesting watching his transition from the start of the year where he was kind of, I don't know, not a role player, but Fran was kind of playing him that way, to now I think they're slowly starting to realize, okay, this guy is, I don't know that they're ready to say that he's their best player or if they would even crown a best player, but he's definitely there. He's definitely up there. It's been incredible to watch. I really wish we would have got our hands on him 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, he's our RTA Threads player of the game. 16 points, 3 of 5 from deep, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and the things that did not show up in the stat sheet was his energy, his enthusiasm, his engagement with the crowd, all those things. I was going to talk to Cory about this, and we'll bring it up in another show sometime. But, it's interesting, depending on what you value. Drew Thelwell, to me, is somebody that understands what the moment calls for in terms of that energy and that enthusiasm and that kind of adrenaline that he can bring to the team, pace of play, all that kind of stuff. Josh Dix is arguably the better player. But to me, in those moments when you need that grit, and you need that, like Josh, you're going to get the same thing from Josh every single night for the duration of every single game. He's going to go at the same pace. His heart rate's not going to change based on time and score, right? Drew's, he can go a little bit more, quiet, loud, quiet, but when there's a moment, especially over the last couple of weeks, I would say since they started Big Ten play for sure. Since they started Big Ten play, every single time there's been a moment where energy and enthusiasm has been needed, he's come through. He absolutely has. So really, really happy to have Drew Thelwell, one of their best pickups, I think, in any sport in the portal this year. So absolutely ecstatic to have him with us. All right, let's go. Let's see here. We've got a few people in the queue now. We're going to try Tony here in just a second. If you're here, Tony, I can't see your camera, so if you're ready, give me a thumbs up or something in the queue there. If not, we will go to, let's hit James. James, how we doing? Can you hear me, James?
Something you've never thought about, but you do it.
All right, we will come back to James. All right, let's Let's add Cory to the mix here, or say, dude, Trey, hooray.
Trey, hooray. Okay. I see a couple positives tonight that I was questioning, where can we get assistance down low? Is Braun's gonna be the answer? And I've been reaching for Dembele. And it just
It doesn't
doesn't.
look like he's going to be the answer. We'll put it that way.
No. But I tell you, I'm a little bit pissed, and pardon my French, but Riley Mulvey was wide open twice, and they didn't throw the ball to him. He was standing there wide open in the lane. Okay, that was 4 points. And that was an insult to that guy because he deserved those passes. He earned those passes. That guy was bringing good energy tonight. And I think he is the answer. He's got the size to be a stopping force down low. And right? It's like alert, alert. We got our guy. Okay. I think Mulvey can bring good minutes, good energy, and he can easily fill the gaps to spell Freeman.
And by the way, though, whether or not he was rewarded tonight, Fran, I think we'll see that on tape. I think he'll see not only Riley's energy, but he'll see his ability. Well, I mean, there's one of the times that Penn State just left him open, but if he did anything to create those shot opportunities, Fran will see that, and I think they'll make that adjustment. I don't think that's a hard adjustment to make.
And we've been waiting for that forward to show. I don't know. I've been waiting for the Ed Horton, the James Winters, the Chris Street, the Russ Millard, the Luke Recker, the Jess Settles, Aaron White. I want the guy that can get in there and bang it a little bit down low. And Traore, I think, is the guy. I just want the guy that can hit the 6-footer.
Yeah.
The 8-footer. We don't have that guy. Well, guess what? We might have found him. He might be coming alive. And I tell you what, if we can get some kind of a wall built down low, besides just Owen Freeman fouling out by himself, if we can get Mulvey in there, bringing energy, scrapping for balls, and Traore coming in there and hitting an 8-footer, 3, 4, 5 times a game. And I like your point with Thelwell. We have a lot of players that feed off of the crowd's energy and the adrenaline and the rush. Sandfort. Yeah, when things are going good, they'll light you up and they'll shoot you out of the arena. And
you get a little bit of, especially from Peyton. I won't say this about Price, but do you get a little bit of front running vibes from Peyton? Because I do. I think I do. He's the kind of guy that almost like Steph Curry-esque, like 4 or 5 years ago when they first started, or well, I guess now it's like 8 years ago when they first went on their run. Like when him and Clay were hitting threes and that the roof was blowing off that arena, he was hot dogging and running all over the place and night and all this stuff. And when they would go down big, he'd be nowhere to be found, right? Like players would be going at him. He'd be really quiet, like he's not the type of person to grind through a 10-point deficit, but he is the type of person to hit a 3 to go up 12 and showboat a little bit. And that's what I see in Peyton a little bit.
Yeah. And so, Iowa needs it's great to fly high and run them out of the gym. And I hope that they would have done that tonight. They didn't do it. But Iowa also needs the killer that comes in and says, Oh, you think you're coming back? No, you're not. Okay. And Thelwell is that guy
Yes, he
that
is. Yep.
when the dam starts to break open, he slams a concrete slab with a 3-pointer. When there was no momentum, he he starts the momentum all over again.
Yeah.
And that is key. And that's big time for this team because I don't know if I see that in anybody else. I'm looking, is there, I think Josh Dix, maybe Josh Dix. He's the
I
other
think
guy.
Josh, I think Josh he does it, but it's in a different way. Cause like Josh, like Peyton, in certain circumstances, when Iowa goes down 10 or he's not hitting shots or whatever, like Peyton gets to 0 of 5 for the game or something, or 1 of 7. There's times where I feel Peyton just checks out or Peyton just like goes away, right? Josh could be 3 of 10 or 3 of 12, and he's not going away. I mean, he will continue to get himself in the same spots to get the same shots he wants to get. And he'll take the shot, whether he's made 5 in a row or he's missed 5 in a row. So he doesn't go down with the downs, but I also don't know that, like, Penn State goes on an 8-0 run tonight. Josh isn't saying, give me the ball, I'm going to stop this, right? That's Drew. Drew's going to do that. Owen might a little bit. Sadhu might a little bit. Josh is more there to kind of, I think Josh raises their floor more than he elevates their ceiling. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, when I think back now, there has been some games where Brock Harding actually has willed this
I would
team
agree.
back.
Yeah. And
so
everybody's beating up on him tonight, but he's had
I
some
would be
better moments this year.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't mention his name. There's been easily 3 games that he has willed this team back into it. And so, okay, I'm gonna stand up against you and Cory a little bit here. Okay, you guys said that there was a hook and a hold. Okay, I saw the hold of Brock Harding.
Yes.
I didn't see the hook and hold. Okay, so that's
it was a very subtle hook. And what I said too was, like, again, I don't know that it was an obvious foul on Brock Harding. What I do know is that it definitely wasn't a foul on Penn State. The 2 options for calls there were, and I think I would have called a no call probably. I was close between the hook and hold and the no call, but it was either a no call or a hook and hold. There was absolutely not a hand check there. There was no way that Penn State defender prevented Josh from moving or prevented Brock from moving.
Yeah, I'll say this though. I made a comment, I think, to Cory's post on Twitter, is that Iowa is a team that regularly gets homered at home. We get we get the short end on calls on a regular basis at home. And I'm mad at this team a lot of times. So I'm not one that's like looking at it through biased eyes. Sometimes I want to kick these guys in the backside to wake them up. But I will say, Iowa tends to play very clean, much like in football.
Yeah.
They tend to play very clean. The other teams tend to play with a lot of reaching in and hand checks that don't get called. If you notice
in football and basketball, Iowa does not walk up to the line, right? There's a line that each officiating crew has, and each crew has a different line. But most teams will walk up and test that line and see where it is. I don't get the sense that football or basketball at Iowa does that.
And the teams that have lockdown DBs, they're hand fighting, they're hand checking, they're pushing the envelope,
checking at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. And we're not. We're totally clean, so we're at a disadvantage. Okay, that's the same thing in basketball. Is we play it very clean. We're not slapping and hacking and so games like tonight were very frustrating for a lot of us to watch because there was a lot of hand checking. There's a lot of reaching, and that was not called. And I'm going to go back because I'm really irritated from this game, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to rewatch it, and I'm going to go through with I'm going to make some columns, and I'm going to see, okay, this was a uncalled hand check foul, and I'm going to go through this for myself so I can objectively see, and I'm going to score this. But I'm here to tell you that I guarantee you we're -6 or -8 on hand check fouls, on them reaching in, us losing our dribble, then it ends up a jump ball or whatever the case might be. There was a lot of that crap. Okay.
Yeah.
And I just can't stand that. But what I get mad at our coaches for is if the ref's going to let that crap go, then I'm calling a timeout. I'm going to tell my guys, okay, we're going
Yes.
to do the
Yeah.
same thing. Give them the
Absolutely.
same medicine until they
Yeah.
start calling this crap. Yeah, I want you guys reaching. I want you going for the ball aggressively until they start calling it. And that's the thing that doesn't happen.
And by the way, too, in my mind, that like what Penn State's doing there, right? If they're playing within the confines of the rules that the referees have laid down, I mean, the referees, maybe they're not having I mean, I know before NBA games, stars would go up to referees and say, how are you going to call it? Basically, like Shaq and Kobe used to talk about that. If anybody ever watched their documentary or their sit-down interview, they used to go up to referees and they used to say, hey, how are you going to call it? You going to call it tight, or do I have some leeway, right? And I don't know that they do that in college. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if Penn State's doing that within the confines of the rules that the referees have subconsciously gave them by not making certain calls, right? Because if the refs don't call something 5 straight times in the first half when you hand check somebody, they're telling you that's okay, right? They're telling you for the rest of the game, we're not going to call that. So if they're doing that, to me, like there's nothing wrong with Penn State doing that. It's Iowa failing to take advantage of circumstances within the game. Like there's a certain degree to which obviously you don't want to foul a ton, but you also want to be a physical presence. Like part of my issue right now with Iowa is, and part of it's because of roster construction, because Owen Freeman cannot get in foul trouble. And I don't know how much of this is on Owen and how much of this is on the fact that they don't believe in any of their backup options for him right now. But yeah, I hope I don't get ripped for saying this. I hope people agree with me. Owen Freeman at times plays soft. Really, really soft. And he's aggressive sometimes offensively, but he plays really soft at times. And there are other players that are similar in that, but like if you're not taking advantage of the referees saying you can do this, you can hand check a little bit, you can be a little bit physical. It's a contact sport. Take advantage of the physicality that the refs are allowing you to do, right? It's not just like they're now, granted, there are definitely times when Iowa plays at home that I feel the exact same as you. I watch the games and I go, there were about 4 or 5 calls there that should have gone the other way. And I feel like there's a chance that cost us a possibility to win the game. But to a certain degree, it's like with
Riley.
Owen, it's like, or with some of the guards, like with Peyton, like physically, they're just a little bit soft sometimes. And that it doesn't help when people come into your building and say, I'm going to get a career high and physically I can push you around, right? That's not a good combination. When people say, not only do you not want to play defense, but you don't even want to be generally physical at all. Like, I don't know. And again, maybe that's not on Owen because maybe he's being coached that way. Maybe they're telling him, you just can't risk it. So I'm not going to even put it all on him. It may just be they don't believe in Riley yet, or they don't trust him yet. They don't trust, Sadu totally. They don't trust Lodgy, whatever. But, I don't know. It's just that it's definitely something where, like, you're totally right. If they recognize in the first half, the refs are going to allow physical play to go, call your guys in and say, be physical. Take advantage of this. This is what they're telling you is okay. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, but I think, you start looking at this roster, and if you can bring, Traore is coming alive, and if you
Yes.
can continue that, and you can get Riley Mulvey involved, so we got something against some of these bigs we're gonna face, where he can give you some good minutes. And he was wide open, and the guys didn't throw it to him. He could have scored. And yeah, he missed a layup. I think there was some contact there. They could have called a foul. Anyway, um, also the goaltending where Owen was laying that one in and it was on its descent. And that guy goes in there and thinks he's blocking it. That was garbage. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna rewatch this because I'm highly motivated. Uh, I was irritated, but that said, okay, you took some shots tonight for being. Some people called you a Penn State fan. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna.
I'm a downer. Corey's a Penn State fan. That's what it was.
Yeah. So let me tell you something. If if these kids were my son, I might have put my foot in their backside if they weren't out there after the game shooting free throws. Because I'm getting tired of this.
Yeah.
It's getting tiresome. Okay. You guys have that game locked up and you let a team right back into it by missing free throws. That was the sloppiest, most garbage performance from the line.
I
And it's
agree.
not it's
And
not a
by the way,
one-off.
I bet you if those free throws had cost them the game, they would have been out there shooting free throws after the game. And to me, it just goes to show with some people, right? Like for me, this is totally on par, not to be cliched here, but totally on par with what I experience in collegiate golf. When parts of my game are not good, right? Regardless of if I get the outcome from the round that I want to get, we go practice them after, right? We don't tie outcomes to what we do, right? If my iron play is not up to scratch and I survive it because my short game's great, I still go work on my iron play, right? If you go and you miss how many free throws? I'll pull this up now. How many free throws did they miss in the last 4 or 5 minutes?
I mean, I want to think they went 1 for 7 or something.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
Cory said that 1 for 7 in the second half. Like
it was
regardless
horrific.
of if you survive that game, right? 1 of 7 in the second half is not good enough. You have to be out there shooting free throws after the game or whatever you got to do. But to tie the result of the game to whether or not we need to work on this, like I don't know. 1 of 7 is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
And I'll tell you what just unnerved me was the end of the half, and Harding's got the ball, and we don't even get a shot off. Got
He doesn't want to.
5.8
Yeah. Doesn't want to
5.8
shoot the
seconds.
percentage killer, Cory.
I wanted to kick him square in the backside. Okay, what are you doing? He had a wide open three he could have took. He had a 12-foot jumper he could have took. And it's
Yeah.
like we were trying to
Doesn't even get a
stall.
shot.
It's like we were trying to stall and run the clock out. What are we doing? Okay,
Same thing with Penn State at the end of the game too. By the way, like at least get a half court shot up. The guy didn't even get a shot up before the buzzer sounded. If I was his coach, like I would rather you take a half court shot with a second left than try to take a 3 with a 1/10 of a second left and not even get anything off.
Yeah, and yes. Now I'm gonna say this, and maybe I'm a homer, but I feel like the defense was a little bit better tonight in the first half, but then it tapered off in the second half. Guys started getting wide open threes, but I feel like in the first half they did work to try to close out better,
Yeah.
but they didn't do it in the second half.
No.
Okay, and last thing is um, Brian Ferentz and Fresno State. My prediction is they will score I'm going with the over. They're going to score more than 25 points a game.
Okay. How many did they score last year?
So I want on this show, I want a ticker. Okay, where's my finger? I want a ticker on the corner of the screen for Brian Ferretz and his offense for Fresno State, 25 points a game. Okay. And they're gonna
We
blow
will,
it away. I think they'll do 26. So
They were 26.1 this year.
oh wow.
They were 26.1 this year.
So we're gonna have to watch this because
So wait, so are we taking over or under on 26.1 then?
oh, they're gonna improve. They got Ferentz. They got BF.
They got a
It's
okay.
gonna get better. I go 20. I'll take the over on a 26.2. They're gonna average 26.3.
Okay. All right.
So that's it's recorded. And now I think that there's many maddening things that happened tonight. I think there's easily two positives, and that's Traore and that's Riley Mulvey. And I think that
And
hopefully,
Thelwell, right? Because I'm not taking what Thelwell
yeah,
did for
but
granted.
we already know about. I mean, but it's a reminder of Thelwell. But
Yeah.
those two things are new items that are promising and that can give this team some hope moving forward. Traore is starting to blossom a little bit, and we had no answer. And I was hanging on to Laje, thinking he's going to be some sort of Ed Horton 2.0 or some kind of body that we can put down there. It's just not happening.
They needed one more athlete, right? Whether it was Logi that stepped up or Sadu, they had to have one more athlete.
But to have Riley standing down there when Owen's getting his breath, catching a breath, I mean, that can be workable. The guys showed some good energy, so I'm liking what I'm seeing. I mean, free throws are garbage. They break it if their butts are not. I want to see a video of these guys on the free throw line. I hope that the sports information director or whatever
Yes.
somebody
Put it on the Iowa Athletics website.
yeah, and hey, you know what? We picked up Joshua. What's his name? Joshua,
Oh,
not
yes.
Olson. Joshua.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good day for Hawkeye recruiting. Top 37
It is. They have a couple of good classes.
player. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
6'7", athletics, got a good stroke. Cory Brada had an issue with his 3-point shot, but I don't. And so overall, good day for Hawkeye basketball. And
Good to get a win.
you got the W. Hopefully, there's enough of a scare that went on there to rattle their cage and get them on the free throw line practicing. But and last thing is, shout out to the Lemansky energy. I love you, Lemansky. Saw you in the
We do.
chat.
We do.
He's bringing big energy. Erica, I didn't see Erica. I'm looking for
I didn't
Erica.
either, but we had a couple shows without the Lemansky energy, and I'm happy to see Lemansky back.
Oh, he's bringing it. He swings a heavy bat, man. That guy's awesome. And
He does.
Doug,
Absolutely.
I think it's Doug 515. Love you, Doug.
Mhm.
Ryan, Ryan was after the referees tonight as well, and talking about getting homered. And
Yeah.
I agree with Ryan on that. We align well there. And Commander Cody, shout out. He's always ribbing me, and I love it.
He's poking fun. He's not ribbing.
No. But I love it. I grew up that way. I grew up in the 80s. Come on. If you weren't taking shots at each other, you didn't love each other. So Anyway, great show.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Cory.
All
Shout
right.
out to you, Kyle. Spence Golf. And one laughable. I was on the Oculus Golf Plus the other night,
Huh.
and I played 90. What is it?
We
96
have to
holes.
find ways to get our winter swings in. Yeah.
So no, but I hadn't swung the golf club in like months. I played 96 holes. I had muscle spasms. I had my kids stomping on me. I had my wife jabbing me in the back with an umbrella. I couldn't get my shoulder out of spasm. I couldn't sleep an entire night. Needless to say, watch out for that Golf Plus virtual reality. It could get nasty. Don't play 96 holes when you haven't played 9 holes in months. Anyway, go Hawks. I needed the W. We're on a roll. Our ladies won. We got our guys rolling now. So
Ladies
it's a
got
good
out of their
day.
out of their slump.
It's a good. We got our recruits rolling. Hey, it's a good day. Go Hawks.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in, Cory.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
See ya. All right. Got our good friend Tony in the queue here. We'll get to Tony in just 1 second. Let me just make sure we don't have anything. We'll go back to RTI Threads player of the game one last time. Drew Thelwell, 16 points tonight, 3 of 5 from 3. We've talked about it. 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He is the RTI Threads player of the game. Shop RTI Threads. Owen Freeman, Peyton Sanford, Josh Sticks, merchandise, as well as Cooper DeJean and many of the football players. Check that stuff out if you haven't already. Let's get to my friend Tony.
Hello.
How are you doing, Tony?
I only have one shout out. Circle Herc would like to know who is Cory's barber and how can we all get the
That's because they want to go to them, right?
I just said we asked who the barber was. I never asked whether it was positive.
It was a neutral question.
One thing I will say is go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it.
You were saying Cory has something. I'm sorry, I've been on and off listening.
No, you're good. I'm just saying Cory likes to make some interesting fashion statements on the show sometimes, whether it's the facial hair or the short haircut or a new hoodie or something. He likes to mess with people, I think.
God bless it. Cory was the last guy on the show, right? The last guy was right before.
Yeah.
Dude, when you get old, just wait for 20 years. You're going to forget shit like this all the time. But anyways,
hey, I was going to say to him, I was ready to get you on here, so I moved on. But I'm on. He said he was on 96 holes this week. I'm on 266 balls today, so I'm not old just yet.
He mentioned something about the free throws. After the last game when they lost to Minnesota, there was some video clips from media members that Seydou Traoré was out there putting up free throws right away.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I
saw that.
He was out there putting stuff up. So I mean, it may not be put up by the Iowa media, but it is out there that these guys do know they need to address the free throw issues.
Yeah.
100%. Like whether that translates.
It's tough because
it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because how much? Like Seydou's Seydou at 60% right now or something like that, 59%, 60%.
Give me a second, I can pull that up. So go ahead.
Yeah, he's let's see. He didn't shoot any tonight, so he wasn't a part of the problem tonight. He's at
Sadie True
57.7.
Yeah, 50. Yeah.
Like
Owens,
I don't know.
Owens, he's not that much better or worse than Owens at 61.
Yeah. I mean, those are two of their guys that are going to get inside shots. Yeah.
Here's another one. Thelwell's at 66.
Yeah, that's
not like some of these guys are. Yeah, like we don't really have that. Like in the past, we've had that guard or two with, especially J-Bo and someone like that. We're like, they're going to the line at the end of the game. It's automatic. We really don't have that guard this year outside of Dix, where it's like they go to the line, they're making the two, and we just move on.
Peyton's pretty solid, isn't he? He's
Yeah,
Peyton
but
in the
I'm
high
not.
80s?
I'm not calling him a guard. I'm talking about like a guard,
Okay.
like J-Bo.
Okay, gotcha.
Peyton's solid.
Yes.
No, he's 87.5. I'm talking about like a primary ball handler, our point guard.
Gotcha.
Where
You know, like
he's
if
the
they
guy
if they get hand checked in the bonus, you know you're getting 2 points out of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about specifically guard. I'm not saying that Dix won't knock him down and Sanford knock him down, but I'm talking about like our point guard, knocking them down. You know, we don't have that. Even Brock, 73%. That's not that great either.
No.
Like
all the guards, all the ball handlers should be 80% plus
or better. And then like to kind of add on to this, like, is there something that these high-level athletes can fix? Like, I don't know much about golf. I mean, mini golf, that's the extent for me. But like if you notice you have a hitch in your swing or something like that, how easy is that to fix at this high a level? I mean,
so I'll give you my what little I know about muscle memory and mechanics. So for us in golf, the general psychological rule is if you have a swing fault, generally speaking, it's at a bare minimum of 500 repetitions to get that particular swing fault out of your swing. Okay. So it's 500 reps, and the two best ways to do it are number one, through visualization. So I don't know if they're working with sports psychologists or what they're doing, but sports visualization, particularly before you go to bed, your brain replays everything that you think about for the last 30 minutes before you fall asleep. Your brain replays that over 100 times in your head throughout the night. So it's a very effective form of visualization. And then we also do slow speed mechanics. So for example, when I'm practicing, like right now, I have a routine of 125 balls a day. And of that, like 75 of the 125 in terms of mechanics work is all at 50% or less in terms of swing speed. So it's taking advantage of short-term muscle memory. So they would have to go visualize. If they were doing it the golf way, they'd have to go visualize, and then they'd have to go slow speed mechanics, and they'd have to shoot at least 500 before they would see a noticeable difference.
That makes sense. That's exactly what I was looking for. Like I can see that where like you're breaking it down by film, and like I don't think it's just going up there and getting the shots. It's like you said, you have to go up 50%. Because if there's some hitch in your form or whatever, you know what I mean? I hate to use that type of term, but you know what I'm saying? Like if there's something in your swing or something in your form that's causing you to miss.
And by the way, for these guys too, it can be like in terms of golf, like we talk about this all the time, like with short game, for example, not really for full swing, but for short game, a lot of times when you're playing, like when these guys are playing in front of crowds and they're playing at 100 miles an hour all the time, like a lot of it can be just like a breathing routine or, you know, close your eyes and visualize right before you shoot the free throw. Like, I mean, sometimes it's not even mechanical stuff. Like it could just be like, I mean, they just need to focus on it more. They need to have more intentionality in terms of their routine, but I don't know.
You were going exactly where I was going to go with it. Like there are some people, you know, I watch way too much college basketball as it is. Like there's some people that's literally just all their fix is they wait for the referee to give the ball and shoot it. There's some people it's like spin the ball, dribble, like little things like that gets their psyche, whatever, you know, that adds on to what you're saying, whether it is, how is that finding it that makes it work for that person, whether it's they just get the ball and shoot right away, whether it's they take two dribbles, spin the ball, take two dribbles, spin the ball, whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever the magic combination is. Yeah. It's not just go up there and let's chuck up 100 free throws a day.
Yes.
You got to do it.
You're not going to get better. Yeah.
No.
If I was just going and whacking 100 balls a day, I'm not getting better. And by the way, to your point, like if you go back, like if you look at Peyton or you look at J-Bo or you look at any of those, like Steph Curry, you look at Klay Thompson, those guys, their routines are so strict, like incredibly strict. And I haven't done the research on basketball enough to know, but for example, you might find this interesting. So one of the best tournaments that Tiger Woods ever won in his prime, 2008 US Open at Torrey Pines. Okay. It's the last major that he won before the big hiatus of majors where he didn't win again until 2019. And if you go back and you look at that golf tournament, he hits about 8 or 9 shots that were outside of, basically they were out of the norm bad shots, right? And of those 8 or 9, So he had a pre-shot routine, and the pre-shot routine was like 12 and a half seconds long. And of the 8 or 9 shots across 72 holes, so he hits like 280 something shots for the tournament. And so there were 8 or 9 really bad ones, and of the 8 or 9 bad ones, all but one of them, he took an extra like second and a half on his pre-shot routine, and that was the difference. And the good shots that he hit, every single time he was within like 3/4 of a second to 12.5 seconds, and somebody went and timed every single shot. And the ones that he hit that were bad, he just stood over the ball literally an extra second and a half. So those ritual things, those routine things, like all the players that are great at free throw shooting, they have them.
It sounds dumb to some people, but it really does make it could be that simple of a fix for some of these guys. It really could. Yeah. Like, one thing that I did notice is tonight, Dix for so long in this season has had that he's going to drive to the top of the key, and then he's going to have that step back mid-range jumper. And that hasn't been there because scouting report. Tonight he went to, and it was when we were going to the left side of the hoop, so towards Penn State's bench, he went to the wing and it was closest to the camera and had that same type of thing where he went and he had that same type of range. Like, the scouting report's going to pick up, and it's all how we're going to adapt. And just even a half-second adaptation to these guys' routine can make a huge difference. Huge difference. Yeah. And they've got to be able to overcome and adapt what the scouting report's trying to take away from them. Yeah. You know, how do you overcome and adapt to that? How are they going to?
It's interesting because it's the same type of discussion that I feel like we've had with football. Like, Kirk is very like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and let's see if you can stop it, right? Like, Kirk's going to do Kirk. He's not going to throw you any curveballs. He's not going to take advantage of waste downs. He's not going to go for it on 4th and short. He's not going to take big shots, but let's see if you can stop what I do. But like in basketball, shooting is so up and down, and like with football, right? If you have a certain physical advantage, those game plans can just work, right? With basketball, you still need the shots to go down, and the rhythm with shooting is so different to offensive line blocking, right? Like, and Tom was totally right. Like, Josh Dix is getting the primary defender, like primary perimeter defender of every team now. And I mean, I can pull up his
rightfully so. I'm not.
Yes, absolutely rightfully so. Yeah. As far as the scoring threat, he's as good as they've got.
There's one little thing that I noticed tonight, and I watched a good chunk of the game. I had to take care of my baby for some of it, but like, it seems like Peyton stepped a little back, and like he got more involved from the bench and being a cheer. Like, he accepted that. He said, "This is my role right now." Like, you could see him being super excited and trying to get the guys pumped up after big plays and stuff like that. Where Dix is the guy. I don't know if he has the alpha. Like, he doesn't have that. Like, like with the Murrays, they didn't have that. Like, I'm gonna go get it. Like, I'm the guy. Like, they were the guy.
Didn't have the Caitlin Clark Luka guards
or the Michael Jordan or whatever. They didn't have that. Like, I am gonna seize this game and take it over. Like,
and that's tough because like this to me, this is one, and I don't know, maybe people will disagree, but to me, it's one of the things that I love about the NBA versus college basketball is with the way that NBA organizations, like the players have the power, right? In college, like if you're playing under Coach K, you can't just say, "Give me the ball and get out of the way." Like, Coach K's calling for a play set, right? Coach K's not going to let you.
It's like 0.1
it's
0.0001% of players.
It's system oriented. It's not player oriented. In the NBA, Penn State goes on an 8-10-0 run. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, whoever can say, "Give me the ball, ISO, let's stop this," right? Yep. And in college, they just can't do that, right? They just can't. Like, Josh can't just like say, "Give me the ball and get out of the way." But Drew has found a way to assert himself in those moments, whether it's defensively, whether it's on the offensive glass, whether it's a tough finish. Drew gets like anytime somebody else goes on a run, Drew gets very aggressive. Just
we didn't win the game, but I'll go back to that USC game where every single time you went into the lane in the second half, there's a foul. And I don't know
Yeah.
how many, I haven't gone back and counted just because I haven't, but how many times did he drive the lane possessions in a row where he just went to the free throw line? And he knew that was the only way to get back in this game, like hitting free throws with the clock stopped, and that's just the way it is. Like he took over, and I think Fran does allow them to do that, though, unlike some other coaches. Fran does allow that freedom where he will give guys green lights. There's the ultimate green light for a lot of these guys, and he does allow them that freedom. I want to add on to the recruiting thing. It was Joshua Lewis. That's the kid's name. That was the last name of the kid, because you guys were talking about that. He's kind of an underrated kid because he committed locally to whatever that UCF. It wasn't USF, but he's UCF because they want to say he's an Atlanta, I don't know, Tampa kid. But he was kind of locked down early, and he had a lot of people after him late. A lot of people after him. And that's a big recruiting win. And like we can say Fran finishes second a lot of times with some of these guys, but this time it came back to pay dividends where he still kept that relationship, and unfortunate circumstances as to why the kid's coming here. But one of our highest rated recruits of the Fran era. Hopefully, we can see it happen. I don't know. Have you talked, I was on and off during the show. Have you talked much about what you think should happen with Fran, or if it does come to that?
We addressed it a little bit a couple of games ago. I can't remember what game it was. I missed a couple of shows.
I know I called you out in the chat, and Cory was going to get back to you about some comment you made, and he's like, "No, there's no way Kyle made that comment." I forget what that
I think it was after after one of the West Coast games. Maybe it was after the USC game. We talked about it a little bit.
What's your goals for the rest of the season, first of all, if we want to retain Fran? Like, is there anything that Fran can do where you say, okay, I will be willing to give him an extra year?
If they make the tournament, he's not automatically fired. If they can climb their way out of this and make the tournament with positive recruiting classes, I would be okay with them retaining him. But again, if they're going to miss the tournament and just look atrocious defensively the whole rest of the year, bye. Gone.
I've said the same thing. Like, the tournament's my bare minimum. They have to make the tournament. They have to.
If I was the AD, I would be talking. If I was having meetings with them, I would say, got to make the tournament. And I don't know. Maybe it's a pointless conversation at this point in his career, but can we do something on fan engagement, please? I
hear that so often. Yeah. But I've met Fran twice, and one of them was literally, he could have told me to F off. Yeah. And Cory knows this because it was in Sioux Falls. I'm just some random fan that walks up to him, and dude took the time to take a picture with me. I get it, but is it that some people are so scared to go up to him? Is it like what is it? Do they see the on-court demeanor 3-4 years ago and think the dude's gonna get mad at me and red face me, or
I think that's probably it. And I don't know. I don't get personally, and maybe people disagree with this, but Kirk Ferentz, it's not just how he acts during games. To me, in press conferences, in interviews, he makes an effort to say thank you to Kinnick Stadium and make a point of going out of his way to say they made a difference in the game, right? And I don't think consistently over the last 4 or 5 years, Fran has made an effort to say, man, the fans really made a difference tonight. When he sits down and does Hawk Talk, there you get some of that, and it's possibly a personality thing.
And is it that we're comparing it to one of the most easiest fan? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Is that fair to Fran to say, hey, we are comparing you to one of the most easily likable coaches ever, and almost ever, in any sport,
any school.
Because Fran is out there, and he has said that in press conferences, and he is very enjoyable to listen to.
And by the
But
way, too,
there's
like
just some
if you listen
stigma.
to like a Brad Underwood,
Yeah.
he's probably saying the same things Fran's saying, and in probably the same tone of voice. Like
Yeah.
Brad Underwood's not begging Illini fans to come out.
I'll throw this out there, and I mean, you can tell me to shut up whenever, but I'll throw this one out there. Danny Hurley. I don't know if you saw what happened a night or two ago. Did you see that a night or two ago? Where he went after the official and said, "Do you know who I effing am? How can you do this effing me?" It's like, holy cow! Like this is Fran, and no one's talking. Like, yeah, he's won back-to-back national championships. He gets some sort of leash, but like, wow, like
that's a lot. It's pushing your it's like we said earlier, it's walking right up to the line of like what's acceptable and what's not. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's tough because, like, I mean, if you were to just go down the list of Big Ten coaches, right? Like Greg Gard, is he endearing to Wisconsin fans? I don't know. Is Brad Underwood endearing to Illinois? I don't know.
You could even make the same argument as Tom Izzo endearing.
Yeah,
he has that same type of short temper. Like, I've been to game. I went to an Iowa Michigan State game, and like Izzo, and this was back in Fran's prime of being red-faced Fran. Izzo was worse than Fran back then.
Yeah.
But no one talks about it because he's
Izzo wins. Yeah.
Like, he wins. Like,
maybe it
winning does cure all. I get it, but it's just like I understand where you're coming from. That like we need someone to connect. My counter argument with that was with Fran is, as a lifelong Iowa basketball fan, he actually embraced the culture of Iowa basketball, unlike Licklider and Alford, the two before him. Like, he's embraced the Chris Street thing. Like, just embracing Chris Street is literally the bare minimum. All you have to do, and Iowa fans should just love you because of the legacy of him. I know that was a little before your time, Kyle. Sorry, but like, but you've read up, what he means to the program. Like, embracing that. Like, how many coaches do you think would allow Bohannon to do what he did, where he missed the free throw to keep? That wasn't a critical part of the game when he broke that. Could have broke that record. But it doesn't get talked about because Fran is
okay. So let's rephrase it this way then.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to put you on the spot or say you're right or wrong. It's
no, you're good. Yeah. It's the way that I've phrased it to Cory is you've got to, like with Kirk, right? Kirk wins. He doesn't win at an elite level. He wins at a good level, right? A very good level. Like he's not Dan Hurley equivalent in terms of winning. He's not Tom Izzo's equivalent in terms of winning. He wins at a good level. Mm-hmm. But it's like with Kirk, he wins at a good level and he's super endearing, right? Mm-hmm. If he's super endearing but he doesn't win, we don't like him. Yeah. If he wins at an okay level and he's awful to interact with, we don't like him, right? Yeah. You can't not do anything, right? Fran has not won at an elite level in terms of postseason play, and he's not endearing, and there's no reach out to students, and and he's been bad with officials. You gotta do well at some of these things, right? You've either got to start winning big, or you've got to make that extra effort and go above and beyond with fan interaction, or you've got to be a little bit more respectable. I mean, I think he has turned it down in recent years, but to me, he's got to pick one. He's got to do something better. I don't know. We're kind of spitballing here, but
but I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Like, I think a lot of us are realistic in saying, look, and I'm one of the most optimistic fans out there. We're probably not going to make the tournament this year.
No,
let's be honest.
And I don't know if you were on when I went through the games for the rest of the year. I mean, you know them as well as I do, but
hydrate first. Sorry, I want you to hydrate first. No.
ESPN's basketball power index, has them as the favorite in one more game.
Yep. I know. Ken Palm. I use Ken Palm, and it's the same. Yeah, Ken Palm has the same thing. Ken Palm has them one more game. That's it.
Yeah. They're not favored at Ohio State, even though Ohio State's on a slide. They're not favored in either of the next two home games against Purdue and Wisconsin. They're horrible underdogs at Maryland and Illinois. I mean, they have like a 25% chance of picking up one of those two games. The Washington game, they have like an 80% chance to win.
That's it.
The rest of them, they're all like, it's all like, I mean, I can
30,
go through them one by one.
40.
It's like 25%, 36%, 31%, 37%, 32%. Like they're all like.
Ken Palm has a little bit more of an optimistic, like he has in the
Yeah.
40s for Oregon. And like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's one thing that I'm interested to see is, and I don't know, has anyone mentioned before I got on about the West Coast stuff? Like, I mean, body clocks do change, and I'm not using it as an excuse. They lost those 2 games. I expected them to lose those 2 games. There's zero excuse they should have lost to Minnesota. But the same night we lost to Minnesota, Ohio State got back from their West Coast trip.
Mm-hmm.
Or not Ohio State, I'm Purdue. Sorry, Ohio State's the team that beat Purdue. Purdue just got back from their West Coast trip and lost at home to Ohio State in a game they should have won. Tonight they go out and freaking destroy Michigan.
Bulldoze Michigan. Yeah.
But I mean, Michigan's good. They're a top 25 team. Like that was at home too. The what I'm trying to get to is a team also looked poor in their first game back, and then now they had one more game to readjust their body clocks and looked a little better. We looked a little better tonight. I don't want to say markedly better than the Minnesota game, but we looked a little better. Like the Oregon, with their I'm throwing the Oregon game out there. That's what I was trying to circle back to is Oregon's 40 whatever percent. That's a tough trip for them to come out here in the middle of the school season, in the middle of the academic calendar and stuff like that. What's their travel plans going to look like? Iowa had a little bit better travel plans because we could avoid class schedules and go out there as long as we wanted to. What's this going to look like the more the Big Ten season goes on? Where in football, like we talked about, because football, it was atrocious, wasn't it? Like the teams that went.
Oh, it was, it took like 5 weeks or 4 weeks, 4 weeks of Big Ten play for somebody to win a game going multiple time zones or something. It was like the first 3 or 4 weeks of Big Ten play, there were 0 teams that won.
Yeah, and it didn't even end the season good. Like the record,
it was
right? Maybe a handful of teams won.
It was maybe like 6 or 7 games maximum out of
not
all
many
of those,
that
all
won,
that crisscrossing. Yeah.
And this is a little more with basketball because you're playing 2 games at once in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Where football, you just travel out there, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever you travel out there.
It's also that Washington game too, because Washington will be the same thing, right?
Yeah. Washington plays us right after Oregon, where they're I don't know who they're I could pull it up here. It'll take not too long. They're playing Wisconsin. Wisconsin is
because that's my only pushback about the excuse for Iowa is that in terms of the West Coast swing.
Yeah, it's not an excuse. I'm just talking about it as a talking point.
Yeah. The worst game that they played on that West Coast swing was the second game when they had already been there for a week. That was my big disappointment.
This is again me throwing more potential excuses or whatever, but I think it was kind of BS the way UCLA and Mick Cronin handled that. Like Iowa didn't know till the day before the game where they're going to play. Now I get it. Life's bigger than basketball, and there's all these wildfires, and people's lives are being destroyed. I think some of that might go into it because I remember following them on social media, and I was still practicing at USC on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because they had no idea where they were playing Friday. No idea. It didn't even get announced till around 24 hours of game time. Oh, yeah. And granted, it's a 30-minute drive or whatever it is. I haven't been out to LA, but I'm just looking at Google Maps like it's a 30-minute drive or whatever that they drove from USC campus to UCLA. But that's still got to be in your heads of like, well, where the hell are we playing? We're out here. We're going to play. Like, where are we playing? Yeah. No excuse. They got boat raced off the floor, and they deserve to lose that game. The same thing with Washington. Their travel partner is Wisconsin as well. So both Washington and Oregon are coming out here to play Iowa and Wisconsin. But this is what we all signed up for. This is what we want, the Big Ten Conference. It's going to be an adaptation time of how do teams handle this trip? Like, do they go out sooner? Do they go how do you handle it? Because same thing with football. Like, what's going to happen next year? Like with football, you said 6, 7 teams, right?
Yeah, 7 teams out of 40 something games.
Yeah, that's not good. And how many of those teams are probably favored?
Yeah.
Like, weren't we favored against UCLA?
Yes.
Football.
We were 2.5 point favorites, I think.
Or something like. I mean,
UCLA.
enough.
It was narrow, but we're still favorites.
We're still favored. Like, it'd be interesting to look back on that, like when we have the boredom of the dog days of summer. Like, how many of those teams are favored that lost.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting. And like looking at like, okay, so like if we were to look, and you probably know this better than me, but like hearing like, okay, Oregon and Washington are coming out to play Wisconsin and Iowa. We went out there and we played UCLA and USC, right? Like it doesn't sound like from a scheduling perspective, there's a whole lot more you can do, right?
No,
like
you can't do anything scheduling wise. It's all about the team to adapt to prepare.
Yeah. So,
That's
but
all
like you said, again, in the middle of the academic calendar, what are they going to do? Go to Wisconsin a week before the game to get adjusted?
Yeah.
No,
They can't. Yeah, they're not going to do that. Remote learning and all that stuff happens nowadays, and these guys probably a little bit lighter load during in season. But like, what can they do to fix it? Like, there's nothing they really. And then a lot of these teams also that this goes back to my Purdue played poorly and Iowa played poorly, and same thing with Iowa women. These teams are taking red eyes home. They're leaving right after their last game and getting back to Iowa City at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, that's not too far away from when you were back in college, but 3 or 4 in the morning as an athlete getting back is not fun.
And a lot of times, I mean, I don't know when the exact dates were, but like a lot of times going back to class the next day. Like I remember going from, we used to drive down to like Alabama or Kentucky or whatever for a tournament, and you get back at 2 in the morning, like you're getting up for your 8 a.m. Like, and you just have to figure it out.
Yeah,
like,
you just have to. Yeah, and you're not sleeping in that van ride or whatever.
No, not at all. I mean, maybe a little bit, but.
And same thing on these flights. Most of these players aren't sleeping.
No.
They just got done with the game, and their body clock says it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, which is still. College athletes still up. Like then you land at it's 3, 4 in the morning now, and they got 3 hours till I go to class.
Yeah,
a red eye flight's pretty taxing. So it's interesting. It's interesting because this is the grave we dug ourselves, however you want to say it. Like
it's tough because like I don't know how much Iowa asked for it. I know Oregon, Washington, and UCLA and USC asked for it, but
they wanted it. Yeah. Well, then like the other thing too with and you can cut me off whenever. UCLA played the extreme East Coast trip before us. USC was at Wisconsin, or no, USC was at Illinois and Indiana, or Illinois and Purdue. UCLA was like Rutgers and Maryland, and then they're flying back on like a late Monday to play us Friday night. That's not easy to do.
No,
and like these kids' bodies are eventually going to give in.
Yeah,
you can't just do that. Where that's why we had geographic conferences, like. Because, like, in conference, you are Olivet Nazarene, right?
Yeah. So we were all Chicago and Illinois, basically.
So nothing.
Chicago, Illinois, Indiana area.
Yeah, you weren't saying, okay, we're going to go to New Mexico to golf.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
granted, if we ever had any of those long trips, they were always north-south pretty much. Because, like, we would go down to, like, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Gotcha. I see.
We would go over one.
Not like south and west or south and east.
Yeah, we're not going from Chicago to LA. We're not, we're not doing that stuff. So it was
Phoenix or whatever.
Phoenix, yeah. No, it was, if anything, like the furthest we ever went was like Alabama, like Gulf Coast Alabama and Florida.
But that's still pretty far. That's pretty, sorry, not far, but that's pretty easy, direct north-south.
Yes.
A vertical line.
It wasn't, it was the same time zone. So
yeah. So you weren't throwing yourself off. That's going to be interesting to see. Are you watching? I see you looking up. Are you watching this game that's going on now?
No, I'm not. What's happening?
UCLA and Washington. UCLA is only up 6 at Washington.
Oh yes, yeah. I saw that come on Big Ten Network after or on Fox after the game was over. And I'm like,
the comment I had to make, and you watched a little bit of it, is, dude, it's a light blue versus a purple team.
Yeah.
Like, if you flip it on, it's like, holy cow, I don't even know whose team, because there's no color differentiation between. I see you looking up. That's the only reason I asked you.
No. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at because I'm curious to get your thoughts on where they're at right now in terms of net, and
it doesn't update till 8 or 9 a.m.
Yeah, so they'll be.
So none of that. They actually dropped in Ken Palm from 61 to 63.
Yeah, and
they dropped.
The defensive rating dropped slightly too.
They were 1 something. They're 154. They're 154 right now.
I can't remember.
That
where
sounds
they were.
about. I forgot. I usually have the tabs open to keep track of what it was before the game, but that's pretty close to about what they were at. I mean, Ken Palm still had it about as a 2-point game, so I don't think they gained much offensive, defensive. They should have won by a few more points. They had a point. They had a point where, and I put it in the chat, like, we're up 10. Let's blow this thing up to 15 and blow it out and get us back. And
yeah, they didn't do it. They've got So tonight was what? Tonight was quad 3. Possibly?
No, quad 2. Penn State is way better net wise than people think. And I will pull that. I want to say
49 in the net.
They are way better. Yeah. Like that's a solid quad. Like you've got to drop below, I want to say it's 75.
75 at home, yeah.
Yeah, 75. So that's not going to drop to a quad 3. That's a quad 2.
Okay.
That is a solid
so that would put them at, so they're 7-0 quad 4, 0-1 quad 3, 6-0 quad 2, and 0-6 in quad 1.
Yeah. What do you look at, by the way?
I just look at the NCAA one.
There's a Warren Nolan, WARREN Nolan.com. He has a very easy, like it shows you what the team sheet looks like.
Okay.
So it's like a yellowish with a blue outline in the top left where it says WarrenNolan.com. He does this for men's and women's. And you can look it up. I don't know. Are you able to screen share?
Yes, I can do that. Let's see here.
Okay.
I can screen share tabs. Let's see here. Present.
He usually puts us off to the left or something like that.
Let's see here.
Maybe. Okay. Warren Nolan. So go to men's basketball. Yeah. And then you does it say, what year does it say over there in the left? Right where your cursor is. What's the men's basketball? What, 2025?
2025. Yeah.
Okay. Then click on net.
Yep. 2025. Okay.
And then if you do nitty gritty, the third, go back up to the top, scroll above the right. Now you see it says nitty gritty. Yep. Click that. And then it should have so you see that little white sheet, go down to 63. Iowa's 63. So if you scroll down to 63, then you click that little white sheet thing.
Okay.
It's that looks like a document tab, right? Yep, click that.
Okay.
There you go. That's beautiful. Okay. It like easily he updates that every day with net.
Yes.
Like this is the site to go. Yeah. Very simple. It shows you exactly what you need to know with what we're talking about. Like we haven't won a quad 1 game. We're undefeated in quad 2. Yeah. We have that lone blemish in quad 3. We're undefeated in quad 4. And that shows you. So this little sheet
really
right
from
here, go ahead. Really from, sorry, you're saying.
Let's see here. I just got a computer. I just had a computer bug. Okay. Yeah. Really from a resume perspective. I mean, not counting. Not counting conference standings or whatnot. They're not in a bad spot. Besides that one game. Like
that one Minnesota game is really it. So this sheet right here, this little thing right here, that's what the tournament committee looks like. That's all they look at. This little data, and I'm circling it as you seeing these, but like all that's all the committee gets to grade a team right here. This is the sheet they get shown, and this is all they get to look at. That's it. It shows you where they rank and these computer formulas they use.
We get our Ken Palm, we get our net. Yeah.
Yep. And then
and granted, like if they win the games that
go ahead.
If they win the games they have to win, these metrics will go up. I'm not worried about Ken Palm and net necessarily, because if they're gonna go 11
they win what they need to
play, they're gonna overperform the metrics.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is a little interesting, It updates daily, and you can it gives you a nice visual color representation of what you need to know about the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And this
It doesn't
is
look as bad as we're
the
saying.
list
Like,
of what. Yeah.
As bad as it seems, you throw out that Minnesota game.
Because I mean, they don't. The committee's not going to. The committee does not care about them finishing 4th versus 8th in the Big Ten.
No,
right? They don't.
They
that
don't
doesn't
care.
matter.
No,
it's just
doesn't matter.
It's just this stuff. Yeah, it's the quadrant wins. It's the net. It's the. So okay, so let's play this out then. Are they? If they win the games they need to win, so the home games they would have to win at least 3 quad 1 home games,
Probably
right?
More. Yeah.
Or 2 or 3 quad 1 home games because they've got 4 of their 5 home games are quad 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if they did that, if they won 3 or 4, they would be like 3 and they'd probably end up like 3 and 8 in quad 1, and they'd end up maybe I don't know, like 8 and 1 or something in quad 2, and then they'd have to not lose any more quad 3 games, and they'd be 7-0 in quad 4. So that is still. People are telling me to zoom in. I'm trying to zoom in here. It's just I'm getting some ad issues. But let's see if I can.
Hey, how about this? I've got a different website up. I've got Torvik up. Okay, and Torvik is the one that everyone says.
Okay.
This is your like win-loss, whatever you want to say. Like you can W&L. If you W&L with me those games you were talking about, and I did it earlier tonight, and I think if we're talking about the same games, Iowa's up to about a 50% chance to win, to make the tournament. 50%. Plus 50, 50 plus percent. So you're saying, let's just say you assume, are you saying they lose the next game at Ohio State?
I'm assuming that they go basically because I think they'll have to go they'll have to win 4 home games. So they'll win that Washington game, and then they'll win 3 of the other games, which would all be quad 1. And then they would have to win.
That would be, let's say they get Wisconsin. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say they get Oregon, because right now they're an underdog in Oregon. Yeah. Let's say they get Michigan State, because they're making a run at the end of the year. So there's 3 home wins, okay? So they win Michigan State, Oregon, Wisconsin.
Plus the Washington win, right?
Plus the Washington win. Now let's throw in pick one between Northwestern and Nebraska as an away game.
Okay.
Pick
either
one you think.
Either one would be.
Let's just say Nebraska.
Probably, Nebraska.
Okay. I hit submit results. Iowa is 41.9, and they're the last team in the tournament. That doesn't even count.
Okay, so that's
that doesn't even count.
But so they're at 4 wins right now, and that gave them 4 more home wins and just 1 more road win. So that has
that gave them 5 more wins. That gave them 5 more wins because the Washington game, the 3 home games with Wisconsin, Oregon, and Michigan State, and then 1 road win at Nebraska. So 5 more wins counting the.
Yeah.
So that's 9 and 11.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, 9 and 11.
5 more wins would get them to 9 and 11 in conference play. Okay, so I mean maybe 10 and 10, and we're not talking about the Big Ten tournament. So
no, that doesn't even throw in what random game. Yeah. I mean, that's not out of the. I mean, it doesn't look good, but I mean, you could see a revenge win against Wisconsin. You could see Oregon on short rest. You can see a hyped up crowd on Senior Day, maybe late March, because that's when we play Michigan State. And then if you think you have to win at Nebraska,
I could definitely see Oregon.
Yep. I could see the Oregon, like you said. So, I mean, it's not out. I'm not saying it's likely with what we're seeing because these are the 2 cellar dwellers we played lately. Looking at it, actually, Rutgers, Penn State's 61 in this Torvik rating. Rutgers is 88. So, I mean, you could win at Rutgers theoretically. The thing with Rutgers that they have going for them is they have all those superstar freshmen. You'd like to play them earlier in the year than later. But. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
the road's
that's
out there.
fascinating 'cause
The
we
road is
really
out there
said-
because they
it
have
is.
a
And they
backloaded
like
schedule.
yeah, it sounds like it sounds like 10-10 is not 10-10 is definitely not out of it, which
No.
Cory and I were kind of before this, we were kind of like, oh, 10-10, they're kind
No.
of probably on the outside looking in. If they're 10-10, maybe they may be
Because
definitely
there's
in.
so many there's so many good wins at Ohio
Yeah.
State, home to Purdue and Wisconsin, which all of these I'm listing right now are quad one. At Ohio
Yeah.
State, home to Purdue and Wisconsin, at Maryland, home to Oregon, at Illinois, at Northwestern, home to Michigan State, at Nebraska. How many? I
So-
don't know. What I list 8 or 9? How many? All of those are quad one.
So yeah, so I get so they have literally every game they play from now on.
Outside of the
Outside
only
of
ones that are
Washington.
not going to be quad one is Washington at home and maybe at Rutgers. Outside of
Yeah.
that, everything they have in front of them is quad one. And to throw into that, because a lot of the teams are top 50 net and 50 is the neutral court cutoff, you're going to have a chance for a quad one win in the Big Ten tournament. Should be playing
Yeah.
a top, you steal one there.
You would
Things start
have,
a-
you would have four, maybe even 5 quad one wins, at least.
It's
Yeah.
in neither of these teams that like people were shitting on that we played, like neither of these Utah and Washington State, like Washington State's 86, they got to drop below 100.
Yeah,
Utah's 78, they got to drop below 100.
yeah.
They're playing decent teams. To answer DeRio, because I see he asked, this does not assume bid thieves. This just assumes, you play it out. It's kind of a computer it's hard to assume bid thieves. I mean, we're, 45 days away from Selection Sunday. Who knows what bid thieves are going to look like? This just assumes Iowa plays out, rest of results go, part of the course. They're the last team in. Now, we do this 2 weeks from now. I guarantee you it changes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
it'd be vastly different.
It's going to change so much.
Yeah, because I mean they're at the point too where like the resumes are so light at this point in the season, like 9 games into conference play, that like people like Iowa's resume could be flipped upside down either way in 2 weeks. Like they could be in 2 weeks they will absolutely be either on their way to the tournament or maybe it may be eliminated at that point. Like if you lost to Ohio State, Purdue, and Wisconsin all in a row.
Yeah, Well, I worry what's going to happen for the rest of the season if that does happen. If they go 0-3, because I had that comment. Like, if they go 0-3, that's
so they'd be 4-8. They'd be probably 15th or 14th in the Big Ten at that point, at least, if not 16.
And you're reaching the point of, do you even make the Big Ten tournament at that point?
Yeah, and that's not
supposed
to be.
That's not something to even think about, or and Copper Stacker, whatever said, like they have the pieces. They could get hot and make a deep run. Like, I mean, we're talking about a team that we really liked, in the early conference season. It seems like Traore has taken a little bit longer maybe than we thought to come back from this injury. He's slowly starting to come. I mean, this is the most comfortable I've seen him.
Possibly 0-2 as of 2 weeks ago. Like
Owen's ankles, like
start.
This team has been downplaying injury. Like, what was Peyton's got a shot to the jewels and then whatever, and
Josh
he just
Dix
said
had an ankle and a wrist, right?
An ankle and wrist. Traore had that. We already said Traore.
Yeah.
We already said Owen. I mean,
that's their whole starting 5 almost.
That like have missed a game or something, some type of thing
at least. Yeah.
Well, we could even probably throw out. We haven't seen him enough, but I would bet he'd be the 6th, 7th, or 8th man. Cooper Koch is. We haven't seen him.
Gone. Yeah. Completely
and
gone.
It sounds like it's a medical red.
I can't remember exactly where they were, but there was a chart that was released this week that was basically like the x-axis was net ranking, and then the y-axis was minutes of rotation pieces missed by injury, and they were probably in the 75th percentile for injury.
So you're saying like
out of 100
teams, percentile, like they missed
more than, or so I guess it would be the 25th percentile, but they were higher up on the y-axis.
I knew what you were trying to say. I was just trying to,
Yeah. So they were, out of 100 teams, 75 teams, they had missed more minutes than the other
Yeah.
than
I know
75.
what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's hard
they're-
to. I understand what you're trying to put, but it's hard
Yeah.
to put it in words. It's like we know what you're meaning, but how do you
Yeah.
put this into?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean that's just. You
But,
know,
I mean,
the
that-
road's
yeah.
still there. Does it look promising with what we've seen? No, because these last 2 games they should have won by double digits. I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest; they should have won by double digits.
Yeah.
They didn't. They're not giving hope, but that doesn't also mean that like we're flipping the calendar from January to February. We might have some desperate guys. Like this is Drew's last ride.
Yeah.
I mean, it's his only ride, but this is Peyton's last ride.
Peyton's last
You know,
ride.
we saw like I don't think we saw that same fire that we saw, like we mentioned a few minutes ago, from Peyton in the Minnesota game that we saw tonight. I don't think I saw that. Did you see it? And I wonder if that was their wake-up call. Now, the wake-up call should have put it in a better
if
result.
it took them that long to get away,
I know.
call, my goodness.
I know. But yeah, but like that's all I'm trying to say is maybe the fire comes. Maybe we see more of that. That's all I'm saying. Like there is still some reason for some optimism. Now, I'm not saying
if they get the Ohio State game and they're back to 5-5, that would be huge.
If they get the Ohio State game and win one of Purdue and Wisconsin, that's
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Minnesota cannot be a quad 4 loss.
Where are they at in the net right now?
Let's look that up here. It's very easy to do that. Let's see. Conference. Minnesota is 104. And they would have to go below 160. That's a big drop.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's going
to go to quad 4. Minnesota is not going to go to quad 4. And that's another thing he brings up is, you know, he's a fan of Kentucky and the SEC. Some of these other conferences where Iowa has just quad 1 games, some of these other conferences are going to have opportunities for their Minnesota quad 3 and quad 4 losses, where some of these teams on the bubble can suffer bad losses where really there's no bad loss outside of Washington that Iowa can have the rest of the year. 0.
Yeah.
So they have nothing but opportunity, and none of them are going to be bad losses.
Yeah.
Sorry if I kept you too. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're good. What's the cutoff to get into quad 2 in terms of net? Is 75 at home?
75 at home and 135 on the road.
Okay.
So Rutgers is at whatever they're at now.
They're at 81 in the net right now.
Is that what they're at? 81 in the net?
That's what this is saying.
Yeah, 81. So I mean, there's 0 chance.
Washington's at 94. So they're
that's gonna
firmly quad 3. Yeah.
That's gonna be a quad 3. They're not gonna drop below 160. I don't think they're gonna get above 76.
But like, I mean, gosh, looking at like even Ohio State at 11-8, they're 30th in the net. Yeah. Purdue's 12th. Wisconsin.
I mean, 30th. Look at that. We're playing them on the road. Ohio State's got to just say top 75. There's no way they're going to drop from 30 to 76.
Yeah, no.
They're going to be quad 1 no matter what. They could lose all the rest of their games. They'll probably still stay quad 1. Yeah. So I mean, there's such a cushion now for some of these teams.
Yeah, you're right. Like none of these games, like if I just rattle these off, besides the ones that we said, Washington and Rutgers, if you leave those out, the only teams that they're playing outside of the top 30 in the net are Northwestern at 46, which is on the road, still firmly quad 1, and Nebraska, which is 55, still firmly quad 1.
They got to drop 20 spots. Yeah.
They got to drop 20 spots.
76 is the away cut.
Yeah. But so, I mean, Ohio State 30, Purdue 12, Wisconsin 22nd, Maryland is 20th, Oregon 23rd, Illinois 9th, Michigan State 16th. So they're all.
That's the thing is they have. You could say they control their own destiny in that aspect. Like you always hear people talk about, like
there's a lot of these in terms of in terms of Ken Pom and the analytics influencing seeding and stuff like that, or tournament bids. Like there's a lot of these games that there's an incentive just to keep it close. Because like if you go on the road to Illinois and you keep it within 5-10 points, your net rating is going to go up. Yeah. Your net and your Ken Pom
and all the other stuff.
Yeah, everything. Your offensive and defensive rating. Yeah, everything's going to go up.
Yeah, I mean, you lose to Illinois 65 to 62 or whatever. Just your defense is going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Because right now Iowa's projected to lose that game. What are they projected to lose?
12 or something?
No, 89 to 77.
Wow. Yeah,
is what 12, they're projected.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but if it's 65, 62, you're way outperforming defensive metrics.
Yeah. And they've got 11 more opportunities to do that.
Yeah. Outside the Washington game, like the Minnesota game was the one that like that flips the whole script, literally, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
They have that Minnesota game as a win. Granted, it's only a quad 3 win. We're still not sitting horrible.
Yeah.
With all the games in front of ourselves. It was just that Minnesota game that was just the outlier of like, holy shit, what the hell happened?
Yeah. Man,
sorry.
If we look back at that,
for the late. No,
hey, it doesn't. We adhere to Cory's rules, but it doesn't impact my money. We'll put it that way. It's 12:27. We've got 160.
I don't think YouTube's gonna go through and hear me say holy yes and be like, oh, that's it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
that crossed the line.
That was what crossed the line at 12 in the morning on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, shut it down, right? Yeah. Did you have anything else that was off the top of your mind? I have no problem answering whatever you about that.
Yeah, not really anything unless there's something else you wanted to get to.
I didn't see anything in the chat outside of like we wished you could have zoomed in, but like there's nothing else.
let me
that's
see.
The thing. That's the thing
earlier.
with Ken, like with Warren Nolan is it's free, so you're gonna get those dumb ads. That shit's gonna happen.
For as straightforward as that is.
Oh my god,
it's laid out. It's awesome.
Yeah, like it's amazing for like once you get, and they do have. I want to say, I swear to God, they have women's. Yeah, you can do women's, and you can do the net for women's too, even if you wanted to. It does the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Iowa's 34. If you want to pull that one up.
Yes. Yeah. Let's pull that one up.
Yeah, they have baseball, softball, like Duriel said. Like they have it all.
They have FCS football. Warren Nolan.
Yep. Not a bad little website for free.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah. So the women, let's see the women here. So the women are 5-0 quad 4, 4-0 quad 3, 4-2 in quad 2, and they're 0-5 in quad 1. So
it's a pretty similar resume.
I mean, they're except for the Minnesota. Yeah.
Yes.
Except for the Minnesota game. Yeah.
But they don't have a clean quad
loss.
2. They have those 2 quad 2 losses
correct.
where the men have a clean quad 2. So that's why it's a little. But I mean, nice little website for the diehards out there that want to follow. He updates this every day once net updates.
Yeah. Let's we just had Duriel MVP jump in the queue here, Tony. I'm gonna add him with us. We'll do this for like another 5-10 minutes and then we can shut it down after that. So
that's fine.
Let's see. Duriel,
hey guys,
are you with
how
us?
are you doing?
Thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, no problem. I was actually in the queue for a while, but you all didn't have, you all were in space land, but in doing the numbers, this is what I live for. I breathe bracketology. Just to talk about it, Wake Forest is a perfect example of why I'm not as big of a fan of net as others. I don't know if you know Wake Forest. They're like 14. They've only got like 4 losses this season, but they barely beat Coppin State. They barely beat like Santa, these horrible teams. And it brought them all the way down to like 78 or 77 in the net currently right now. So was Tony, that's an example of what Tony was talking about, of just being close. And it can actually drag you up if you go on the road, especially. Now, I was wanting to ask Tony, how is Ohio State a quad 1 game? I'm just watching them play. They're not a quad 1 team.
Can I ask you what happened on December 21st?
Oh, we lose to football schools. We only lose to football schools, okay?
He's a Kentucky fan. Sorry, that's why I'm bringing it up. Like Kentucky got blown out by Ohio State by 20.
I know.
That's the only reason their net's inflated. I'm answering your question. And they won at Purdue. Those 2 games.
They won at Purdue and then they won against Texas on neutral.
Yeah, like those.
Texas ain't great.
Well, Texas is 33rd.
Still
quad 1.
Right. They're being floated because of how good the SEC is overall.
Correct.
So they can't have a bad loss.
Correct.
Seriously.
The SEC's, no, you're right. The SEC's in the same boat. Like we went through the Iowa WNL with Iowa cannot have a bad loss outside of Washington. The same thing. Like how many
A lot of SEC teams can't have bad losses.
can't have bad losses? You know, but
Right.
these other teams they're going to go against, like the Big East and the Big 12 and the ACC, there's landmines out there for some of these teams that they can have bad losses.
Oh, that's absolutely. And what's also going to happen is Iowa, if they just hold serve,
Yep.
they're going to rise up and teams are going to pick one another off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I follow Wake Forest, by the way, because Steve Forbes, the coach, is an Iowa guy. And he's
Right.
someone that I've targeted as, if we have to replace Fan, I have no problem getting Steve Forbes. That's just me. Whole other conversation. Blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, for me, it's just a tragedy for them because if they lose this game tomorrow against Duke, they probably have no chance to make the tournament because the
Correct.
ACC is perceived weak and their metrics are just so bad.
Yep.
And that, but that's something, the blessing and the curse for Iowa is you all have these opportunities. Now, the curse is Iowa struggled against inferior opponents metric wise, so it could go really sideways quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they like Kyle said, in 2 weeks we're gonna know.
Oh yeah,
You're gonna know.
Yeah.
Like the chances are there. Even if they go 500 these next 2 weeks, they're still there that they can still overcome it. Like it's very easy to overcome. Excuse me, very easy to overcome.
You just can't fall 3 games below 500 in conference play or 2 games below 500. Like they can't get to a point where they're like 5-8 or
No.
6-10, 6-9.
No.
Like at that point, there's
Because
too
then the
much-
losses just pile up.
right.
Yeah,
And there's
as
another
much,
thing-
as,
there's
much
another
as it
thing
helps the metrics to win or to lose close games on the road, they don't have a lot of wins. Like they still have to. win.
That's the other thing. There's another thing out there about road, and I know DeReal's probably seen this because he's a bracketology nut like I do. There's been 0 teams that have had less than 2 road wins that make the tournament. The cutoff is you literally have to win 2 road games, not neutral. You have to win 2 road games. There's been 0 teams that have had just 1 road win that have made the tournament. You have to have 2 road wins. So Iowa now has to find a way to get 2 road wins and stay above the watermark that we're talking about to get in the tournament. So they've got to find a way to steal 2 road games and still stay above.
They've got these new metrics they're looking at this year and the bubble metric.
Yep, the win
I
above
really
line.
like it. And
Wow.
Iowa's got opportunities with specifically on the road with Ohio State, Maryland, and Nebraska.
And Northwestern.
Hey, well-
Northwestern, yeah.
Now,
Northwestern's quad 1 too.
I don't know, but are they on the bubble?
Northwestern's on the bubble, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know the bubble's pretty expansive this time of year.
Well, especially with the Big Ten, really every team but 2 is on the bubble.
Hey,
Outside of
that's fair.
Washington and Minnesota. It's like how many teams in the SEC are on the bubble?
Probably 15 or
Yeah,
14,
out of
like
yeah.
16.
No, he's not. It's funny, but he's
not-
not
yeah, you're not
joking.
wrong.
Like
Yeah.
literally, that many teams are on the bubble.
Arkansas's on the bubble, and they had 0 wins. They were 0-5 before beating Georgia.
Yep.
So
They're still on the bubble because the SEC is that good. Like, there's no bad losses you're gonna have.
right, and I was worried because usually if you have a quad 4 loss or a bad quad
Yep.
3 loss, it just absolutely tanks their resume. And they
Yep.
pointed out as the bubble, like, my gosh, you lost to this team. It's just so ugly. I was wondering if Minnesota could become that.
They're
Because-
1-0. They're 104. I think the thing that's going to keep Minnesota up is the Michigan win, beating Michigan.
Yeah.
Beating Michigan at home is going to really help Minnesota not tank. I don't see it's the same problem. It's the same thing with, Minnesota's playing Oregon, Michigan State. They play Washington at home, just like Iowa. But then they still have Penn State, Illinois, USC, UCLA, Penn State again, Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Rutgers.
Right.
There's 0 bad losses outside the
Right.
Washington game home. So there's no way they're going to tank to a quad 4. There's also a way that they can shoot up because they shot up like 20 spots just by beating Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
There's a way they could shoot up to a quad 2.
Right. What's the quad?
That'd be
75 or 100?
76. 76. They're 104 and they're 76, so they got to get
So
that.
they'd have
They
to get 2 or
probably
3
have
big
to-
wins.
But they could still do that at home. I mean, you're playing a couple of these teams, like we said, that They got to get they get USC and UCLA at home. That's that West Coast trip. They might be able to steal one of those.
Yeah.
And I'm not particularly impressed with Northwestern. I think they can beat them, split Penn State, and they'll probably get there if they do combination of those things. So I think it's entirely possible they end up as a quad 2 loss. But it's surprising. Everybody has a narrative going into a game that this is the game, the biggest game, and then if they lose, it's completely done. And then you take a step back and you look at the metrics, and it's like they're not completely out of it. Like,
no, I was not. It's fans projecting it. Like looking at we have a fingertip on the team and feel the pulse of the team. And I'm sorry, after that Minnesota game, I was not getting good vibes. And I still don't have good, even though we won it, I just still don't have good vibes. I'm sorry. I still don't. I think that it's very realistic. They go 0-3 those next 3 games and the wheels fall off.
I think you all can beat Ohio State. I know
we can, but
I think we can. I think we can also
about
lose.
it.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be surprised if we get our doors blown off. We lose by 20-25.
Maybe. I'm not sold on Ohio State being a great team yet.
Are you sold on Iowa being a great team?
I'm not sold on Iowa being a great team, but I'm just saying I'm looking at the wins Iowa can get to improve. A lot of these teams, Ohio State's that one that I think if they're going to make the tournament, this is a game they are more likely to win than some of the other road games they have later on the season.
I mean, they can beat Rutgers too on the road.
Yeah, but that win's not going to carry. That's going to
be but it's a road win. It'll be quad 2 because they're 80, but it'll still be a quad 2 road win. It's still a road win. That's all. Anyways, you gave us a few minutes. I think we exceeded it, right, Kyle?
No, you're good. Is there anything else, Drew?
No, I just wanted to come on here and ask you, are you still an NIA and national championship level athlete?
Well, I have not played in the NIA in 2 years now. I will be. I've got an event schedule of about 15 professional events this year, so I'm gonna give it a go. I'm not promising any special results, but we're gonna give it a go.
Okay. That'll be good. I can't wait to see you on the Golf Channel on Golf TV with the collegiate athletes.
You can't wait to see me signing with Liv for $100 million, right?
Oh, well, if you do that, then I'm sure Tony and I would love a little piece of that action since we believe.
Well, I was going to say I'll do that, and I'll come back and I'll do a $10,000 super chat for Cory Brada.
Hey, quick question though: if you do make it, who would be the bigger pro golf fan between you and Zach Johnson of Iowa?
Well, he is an Iowa kid. He's Cedar Rapids. So in Cedar Rapids,
he didn't even go to Iowa too.
Yeah, he didn't even go to Iowa.
He went to Drake.
Granted, I didn't either, but I am working at the Iowa golf course, so I don't know. I would 100%. Tiger had his Sunday red. I would absolutely wear gold. That would be fun.
You wouldn't even do black and gold. It'd just be straight gold.
Black. The old Ricky Fowler orange outfit. Instead of that, just gold with a little tiger hawk in the corner.
So this kind of gold.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the family Iowa golf shirt.
So you know what this is, right? This family thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean you know what it's from.
Oh, I can't remember specifically.
Those March Madness shirts. This is family. Is one of the years when they had that. I don't know.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I have one from every year.
Yeah.
That's how much of a dumb idiot I
am. Tony goes to all the games.
Yeah, I know. Tony is the diehard fan that every adult male in their 20s and 30s aspires to be when they grow up. Just be able to go across the country to root for their team.
Dude, I don't. Yeah. I've only been to one game. I live in Sioux Falls. I don't go to games. I just follow them because I buy every damn TV channel there is out there. I even spent the $30 on Flow Hoops.
I figured you would be super rich since you bought Flow Hoops for one random women's basketball game.
I like it. It's not. I still watched other games.
No.
What are they done on Big Ten Plus the women now, or they have one more game?
No, they have a very not good streaming schedule.
Yeah, they have 9 of those games, I would say.
Yeah, I got it right here. Their next game is Big Ten. After that, they got Fox, Big Ten. They have Rutgers, which is Big Ten Plus, UCLA, which is crazy. You're playing
Yeah, they're the number
UCLA.
1 team in the country.
That's on Peacock.
That's insane.
Michigan is Big Ten Plus. The last 3 games are Peacock, Big Ten Plus, Peacock.
Oh,
Yeah, UCLA at Michigan versus Wisconsin. Peacock, Big Ten Plus, Peacock. You have Rutgers, a home game, Big Ten Plus. Yeah.
Rutgers is somewhat understandable because they're in the toilet this year
Yeah.
in women's
But
basketball.
I mean, UCLA, there's zero excuse for
Right.
that. Michigan's
And
pretty
Michigan's good.
Yeah.
Michigan, they were top 25 just a week ago.
So I mean, there's 2 games back to back, Peacock and Big Ten Plus. Like, yeah, and there was I mean, how many of the last few games have been streaming too for the women?
I don't know.
Kyle,
I don't
the
purchase
last few of them?
streaming.
You don't have Peacock?
No, I don't own any of the streaming besides Netflix. I'm just
Fair enough.
that's what happens is they make you think it's cheaper, but you add up all the subscriptions and it's way more than cable would be. That's how they get you.
Yeah. I think Kyle's about ready to. I mean, me and you could probably talk till the sun comes up because we're joking about this, but I think Kyle probably wants to get some sleep, and I should probably too. So.
Yeah, I know. Kyle's got to practice his iron game. If I heard anything from
what is it?
earlier.
You said 500 swings, and how many of those did you take in a day?
I got to hit another 200.
200 a day.
I do about 1,000 to 1,500 a week. So
okay, 1,500.
Today was about 260.
1,500 would be about 200 a day. Yeah, because 14 would be 200 flat.
Yeah,
that's
14,
with not taking any days off. So. And you said what percent of those were 50%?
We don't.
No, what percent of those swings were 50%?
So I guess it's 1,000 to 1,500, but that's just the technical. So like if I go on the launch monitor and I play around, I'm not throwing that in the counter. Yeah. So I guess it's probably more like 1,500 to 2,000, and of those probably 750 are half speed, roughly.
So half of them are half speed, just to make sure you're getting your mechanics and everything down. Okay.
Just just about half.
I just wanted to drive that point home again about it matters more, not just
if you want to do something, if you want to get good at muscle memory, it's short-term muscle memory. Do it at half speed to make sure you get the positions right. I'm like when I go to see my swing coach, I go and he's got a mirror behind me and a mirror in front of me.
Yep.
So I have to go slow, check takeaway at 90 degrees, check it at top, and then same thing on the way through. So
yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully I will use that for their free throws.
We talked about that.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly,
I was watching that game and I was like, "Oh my gosh! If they blow this game, the chat is going to go insane tonight." Yep. Because it looked like all those players were trying to
honestly,
lose the game.
If they would have lost that game shooting 60% from the line, I think me and Cory our heads would have flown off on post game to start off with. We were already kind of at our wits' end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those misses weren't even close, but it's good seeing you.
See you guys.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Do appreciate everybody's time. Thanks for sticking with us. I know it's 12:45 at night. My goodness, we're not planning on being here that late, but 2.5 hours in. Thanks to Real and Tony for hanging with us. But let's see here. See if we can get our banners up, and we'll wrap things up here. Iowa defeating Penn State 76-75. We had Drew Thelwell as our RTI Threads player of the game with 16 points, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Iowa gets on the road and plays Ohio State in a couple of days here, and then they'll come home and face a couple of top 25 opponents in Wisconsin and Purdue. So we will be back with you for those 3. And as Tony kept saying there, we will absolutely know at that point what their tournament chances are. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. Cory will be back next time for hopefully a full show. I'm not sure, can't remember when the women play, but we'll be back for that relatively shortly. All right. Have a good night, everybody.